and some places seeing the low single figures. So, yeah, pretty fresh out there first thing this weekend, but plenty of bright weather. It will still feel cold in the wind coming from the north, and that wind will bring some wintry showers to northern Scotland, snow falling over the hills of northern Scotland, but no disruption likely from that. Rain showers elsewhere, but plenty of sunny spells in between the downpours, particularly in central eastern parts, continuing though to feel very cold.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A historic defeat for Labour in the Caerphilly by-election.
Plaid Cymru's Lindsay Whittle wins the Senate seat for the first time.
Listen now, Cardiff, and listen, Westminster. This is Caerphilly and Wales telling you we want a better deal for every corner of Wales. This means everything to me and the people of Caerphilly constituency. You mean everything to me.
Well, Reform UK's Leah Powell came second.
I'm grateful to every voter that came to the ballot box and voted for reform, despite the fear and attacks that have been put against them by the other parties.
But with fewer than 4,000 seats between Plaid Cymru and Reform UK, could this be a sign of what's to come in next year's Senedd election?
That's right, disaster for Labour. Disappointment for Reform as Plaid Cymru win this last by-election before the big one next May, the May Senedd elections. What does it mean for them? We'll be finding out shortly.
Also this morning, after small boat arrivals surpassed last year's total 2 months early, the reports the Home Office wants to sign one-in, one-out deals with Germany and the Netherlands.
History is made as the King prays alongside the Pope, ushering in a new era of Christian faith after 500 years of division.
Resident doctors in England announced another 5 days of strikes next month. We'll debate if it's time to ban doctors from the picket line.
Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman announced their departure from Strictly Come Dancing.
Hi, it's Claude and Tess. There have been some rumblings and we want you to hear this from us.
Yeah, we have news. After 21 wonderfully joyful years on Strictly, we have decided that the time is right to step aside and pass over the baton.
And the rumblings are true, I will be taking over. In sport this morning, the good, the bad and the ugly. So the good, Nottingham Forest get their new manager bounce and finally win a game against Porto. And Celtic beat Sturm Graz. The bad, Europa League favourites Aston Villa lose to the 12th best team in Holland. And the Norway Rangers are beaten again. And the ugly, the 5th best team in Cyprus beat Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park and Aberdeen lose 6-0.
Pressure pulls away. We're going to see colder winds arrive from the north with a mix of sunny spells and showers. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
Do you like your names? Well, yours is slightly changed, isn't it?
Yeah, I like both versions of my name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
You got a middle name?
Yeah, Michael.
Oh, you've got such a strong name.
Like Paul Michael Glazer and Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about it because there's a story in the...
Robert.
Stephen Roberts.
Stephen
yes.
Roberts.
But there's a story in the Star this morning about a guy who worked for Apple.
Right.
But he changed his name eventually because he's Scottish, but he was called Sam Song.
Oh, my goodness.
And he worked for Apple.
Oh,
Samsung.
That would a bit awkward. Yeah, I understand.
Really? So did they request that he change his name?
No, I think he just did it himself. But anyway, so he's now called Sam Struan.
Sam McIntosh.
Sam McIntosh. Yeah, Sam Struan. But he worked for Apple in Glasgow.
He should have just whacked a muck in there. Muck song.
Sang Muck Song.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
That's a Neil Diamond song. It's a Sam Muck song. Everybody knows one.
But I just think it's a great. It's great. I'd have kept it, Sam, if I were you.
So it was his name badge, wasn't it? So was he in the shop?
Yeah.
So he's in the store. He's got Samsung
name badge. He said Samsung.
I do understand.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it? Right, lovely. We better crack on with the news because obviously you've been watching. Tom Harwood's been on for the last 4 glorious hours as Labour suffered a historic loss in the Caerphilly by-election overnight.
Listen now, Cardiff, and listen, Westminster. This is Caerphilly and Wales telling you we want a better deal for every corner of Wales. The big parties need to sit up and take notice. Wales, we are at the dawn of new leadership. We are at the dawn of a new beginning.
Well, after more than a century representing the area, Labour secured less than 4,000 votes compared to Plaid Cymru's 16,000 and Reform UK's 12,000.
So, is this the day that Labour lost Wales?
Well, joining us live from Caerphilly is our political editor, Christopher Hope. Morning to you, Christopher. What do you make of it?
Well, I think Stephen could well be right there. This could be the day when Labour lost Wales. It's only a by-election, and of course these elections can be protest votes about all sorts of other issues that don't involve the narrow area which a member of the Welsh Parliament can look after in Caerphilly. But it is absolutely seismic what is happening here. We're looking forward to the May elections next year in Wales. We're seeing the whole change in the way that you calculate and vote here to a list system from 60 members of the Welsh Parliament to 90, and it'll be simply a list of people. So if any party which can get high in the polls and high in the votes will win a lot of members of that Parliament, and it could well see Reform UK as the biggest party. We're looking here at Plaid Cymru. They got 47% of the votes, doubling theirs. But look at Reform, from 2% 4 years ago to 36% now. Labour collapsing 35% down to 11%. At 11%, they would win 0 members of the Welsh Parliament next May. Again, this is obviously indicative, but doesn't mean it will happen next May, but really, really concerning. You heard there from the victor, Lindsay Whittle. He's 72 years old. A human story there we must reflect on. He's tried 13 times in Westminster and Welsh Parliament elections to be elected. He's won it on his 14th time. That's more than Nigel Farage took to become an MP when he became an MP July last year. And Lindsay Whittle said this is better than scoring the winning try for Wales against New Zealand in the Rugby World Cup. That's big for a Welshman to say that.
Yeah, I mean, how does Reform reflect on this? Because, I mean, inevitably they'll be disappointed they haven't won, but being just 4,000 behind Plaid Cymru is, I mean, clearly a good result, just not quite good enough.
Yeah, so near yet so far, and I was up for the Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse by-election in May, and again there were 1,500 short then. We have to reflect on the journey Reform have come on. They, again, worth repeating again, how they're on 2% 4 years ago, now 36%, just short of the winning post, but the same happened in that Scottish parliamentary election vote in Hamilton, Stonehouse and Larkhall. What does it mean? We don't know yet. It could mean that some Labour supporters saw the vote collapsing of their party and then voted Plaid Cymru to try and stop Reform winning. Certainly, I was told by Plaid sources that some people were very upset about Reform winning here. They don't like the idea of deporting migrants back to where they came from, and people who've been living here for a while, they'll be sent back too if Reform win. They don't like that. Some voters, I was told by Plaid, were in tears at the prospect of Reform winning. So what it does show us, I think, that Reform are not just against Labour or the Tories, they're against a lot of different parties who don't want them to win, and it makes their challenge greater next May. But I've got to say, look at those numbers there, 36% behind Plaid on 47%. They would do very, very well at those elections, and it's a wake-up call again, I think, for the main parties back in London, and worth reflecting here for Keir Starmer, a complete disaster for him, and he could well lose Wales next May, and that he is facing a crisis if this happens next May.
And Chris, just before we let you go, you're so dedicated, aren't you, that you've actually worked overnight at the by-election on your birthday. Very, very happy birthday to you, Chris.
I have.
We're sending all our very best wishes to you, and hope you have a lovely birthday. Oh, he's got his birthday badge.
I bought a birthday badge, Ellie. I'll be wearing it later.
Good.
I'll be wearing it later. Yeah, it's my
glorious
birthday.
years, Chris.
Thanks, Steve. I wasn't going to say all I was on air, but thank you. I appreciate that. I'll pay you back one day. Thank you.
Yeah, you will.
Happy birthday. Hope you get some cake later.
Lovely stuff.
Bless him, isn't he good? Standing there in the cold and the dark for us on his
6
birthday.
o'clock on his
isn't
birthday.
Isn't he good?
Yes. Yeah, we shouldn't mention his age.
No.
54. So there you go. All right, let's get some more reaction from former Special Advisor Oscar Reddrop, who's here. Morning, Oscar. I mean, it's no surprise, in a sense, that Labour didn't do as well as they'd want in this. But are you surprised at the scale of the defeat for them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all very well and good. You know, by-elections often challenging for the government in power at the time. But there's not doing well, there's losing a seat, and then there's your vote utterly collapsing. And ahead of those elections in May in Wales, you know, if this is a sign of things to come for Keir Starmer, because undoubtedly, that National Westminster picture cut through. I mean, you know, even the Conservative vote can, you know, losing their deposit. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. The unpopularity of Keir Starmer, I think, is the real main story here. And there was a lot. I've really kind of read up on this election ahead of last night, which is good. Bit of homework there.
Very good, Oscar.
Carfilly's not
Always
my.
good to know you're doing your research.
I haven't been yet. But on the doorstep, Keir Starmer's unpopularity shone through. You know, they couldn't believe, there were traditional Labour voters there that couldn't believe that this is the guy who wanted to take money from pensioners. You know, that was a real Westminster issue that cut down there. And I think, you know, we talk about Keir Starmer and his future and his popularity, that this is an absolute sign of things to come for next May. And then when you go a little bit further than that, if we see results like this across the board, it makes it very, very hard for Keir Starmer to continue, I think. Because, just for people watching this now, the vote has collapsed for the Labour Party.
So it's crumbled like Philly cheese,
Yes.
you might say. But it will spook other Labour MPs, won't it, who are worried about their seat at the next election. Can we talk about reform? Because it's also a big setback for them in terms of they were really hoping to make inroads in Wales, starting here.
Yeah, I mean, look, so the narrative of reform with by-elections right up and down the land thus far has just been, you know, success, win, momentum, success. And there probably was going to come a point where that was going to slow and ease a little bit. I mean, the challenge moving forward for reform, particularly, and I think this election, this by-election really shone through on this, is that if it becomes it almost could become a stop reform vote, and when the Labour Party in whichever part of the country are so stinkingly unpopular, then there's a kind of a softer, progressive stop reform tactical vote that I think reform might come into a few issues with, and I think that's partly what happened here. Hugely high turnout, both for reform and that anti-stop reform vote. But look, you know, I think reform will still do very, very well in May. You have to remember as well, like, you know, Plaid have been going, you know, the routes that they have in that neck of the woods compared to reform, which basically have been going from a standing start here. I know people who dislike reform will you know, jump on the grave of the result last night for them, but it's still an impressive result nonetheless for reform. But of course they would be disappointed not winning.
Just before I let you go, you mentioned the turnout. It was just over 50%, which is pretty high for a by-election.
Very high.
What are we to make it? Does that solidify the result in terms of how we would project it forward a little bit? Because it's more like general election territory, isn't it?
Yeah, spot on. I mean, I think this is really a sign of high stakes politics at the moment. And again, what is motivating people to get out their door? It's a hugely unpopular Labour government in Westminster, it seems.
OK. Oscar, thank you very much. You're with us in the next hour, aren't you? Yes, you are. See you then.
See you then.
Yeah, interesting times.
Very
interesting times. It's going to be an interesting show, actually, because we're talking to the Conservatives just after 8, we're talking to the government just after 9, we're talking to Reform about 8:30 this morning, so it's going to be fascinating.
Getting reaction from one of those parties, yeah. Right, should we get a check on the weather with Aidan McGibbon?
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Some bright spells around today, but also plenty of blustery showers and even some longer spells of rain, all accompanied by a cold wind coming from the north. And that wind particularly strong towards the northeast of the UK as low pressure pulls away, but continues to extend a band of wet weather into eastern Scotland and the northeast of England. And we'll see coastal gales around exposed northeastern parts, but elsewhere it's just a blustery day with further showers, some heavy downpours for the southwest in particular, even the odd rumble of thunder. Away from the showers, some sunshine. However, it is going to feel cold in the wind with temperatures a few degrees down compared with average for the time of year. Now, the rain across northeast Scotland pushes into southern parts during the evening and northern England later on, with further showers following for the north and northwest of Scotland. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of showers, but also some bright spells in between. 11 degrees at 6 p.m. And for much of England and Wales, we keep the showers going well into the evening, but there will be some clear spells, particularly through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. Here's that band of rain sinking south into the Midlands during the evening and then East Anglia by midnight. But eventually it pulls away into the North Sea, and that means that for many of us, we'll see clear spells overnight. Enough of a breeze to prevent a widespread frost, but it will be a chilly start in places on Saturday, with temperatures dipping to the mid-single figures, even some places seeing the low single figures. So, yeah, pretty fresh out there first thing this weekend, but plenty of bright weather. It will still feel cold in the wind coming from the north, and that wind will bring some wintry showers to northern Scotland, snow falling over the hills of northern Scotland, but no disruption likely from that. Rain showers elsewhere, but plenty of sunny spells in between the downpours, particularly in central eastern parts, continuing though to feel very cold.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's 6:15 now. The King and the Pope made history yesterday by praying together in a symbolic moment of unity for Anglicans and Roman Catholics around the globe. Can I just make a point on this, actually?
Yes, please do.
Because prayer, if you are a Christian and you believe in prayer, then whoever you pray with doesn't matter.
No.
I saw one prominent Northern Irish politician, I know it's difficult in Northern Ireland, but saying the King should abdicate. Because he did this, abdicate, because he happened to pray in the same room as the Pope.
Oh, no.
I mean, come on.
He's trying to bridge the divide, isn't he? And actually, to be honest with you, if you're about to see it in this report from Cameron Walker, but if you wouldn't have known what was happening, it would have passed you by. There wasn't any big grand moment where they held hands together or you know, made it a really symbolic thing. They just very quietly prayed in the same place together, which was quite nice. But the pontiff led the prayer during a very special service in the Vatican's famous Sistine Chapel. Our royal correspondent, Cameron Walker, was there.
History in the making. The strongest relations between the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church for 500 years.
Let us pray.
A British monarch praying publicly for the first time with a pope. After a private audience, the King and Queen joined Pope Leo in the Sistine Chapel as its choirs sang alongside those from His Majesty's Chapel Royal and St George's Chapel, Windsor. Shared music, symbolising unity and reconciliation. Across town, their Majesties attended a special service at St Paul's outside the walls, celebrating the King's new title, Royal Confrater, meaning spiritual fellowship. A title approved by the Pope. And the King returned the favour. Pope Leo, now Papal Confrater of St George's Chapel.
It's one thing the palace stressing the significance of the moments that the King is the first British monarch in 500 years to pray publicly with the Pope, but just the amount of crowds that has come out to greet His Majesty just after that moment really emphasises perhaps how important it is to Roman Catholics here in Italy and back in Britain.
And to see His Majesty there with the Pope and having that Christian unity is a beautiful and significant moment.
I just think it's showing something on both the parts that they're trying to separate this divide that's a bit ridiculous.
As politicians continue to voice concern about the King's brothers' living arrangements, Britain's most senior Catholic priest, Cardinal Vincent Nichols, offered some spiritual guidance.
I would sum it in this way. In the King's mind, in our mind, in the Pope's mind, religion is not a problem to be solved. It's a gift that we all need.
The King's short visit to the Holy See is expected to form part of his legacy. Defender of the faiths, honouring his mission to promote interfaith peace and harmony. Cameron Walker, GB News in Rome.
Well, I think it's nice, actually.
Yeah, I think it's nice as well. They seem to get along really well as well.
Yes,
Cracking jokes to each other.
I quite like this Pope.
It was sweet.
Yes, I'm not Catholic, but I quite like the Pope.
I'm Catholic and I like him as well.
Yes,
so that counts for something.
You've got to like him.
Yeah, he's really nice, and he's really close with his family as well. He FaceTimes them every day, you know.
Does he?
Now, yeah, and they play Wordle together.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah, seems like a nice man. Anyway, very fittingly, it's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
My name's Marcus Mack. I'm a vicar in the Church of England. If you had to choose just one rule of life that governed every other aspect of your life, what would it be? For a Christian, the first and the greatest commandment is this: to love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. In other words, we are to love God with our whole being, with total devotion and delight. We are to have no other rival competing for our affections, while prioritizing Him above all else. God is to be what we delight in, to be the one we love the most, and out of a passion for God comes obedience to His other laws. When a child loves and delights in their benevolent parent, they will delight to do their will, not out of fear, not out of duty, but out of love and delight for them. This is the secret to true obedience, because we are controlled by what we love the most. We are driven by what we are most passionate about. When we love God the most, everything else falls into place. When we have made something else the ultimate object of our lives, everything becomes out of sync and we lose harmony and peace. Christianity is first and foremost about love, loving the one whom we were made to love.
Cool.
Now, still doing. Our director couldn't be bothered to cut away from that little animation there. Very long gaps.
We have a bit of a birthday theme going on today, don't we?
We do, because obviously Chopper is 54.
He's 40
today.
years old today.
40. He's 54. And manufacturing giant JCB is 80.
Oh, very happy birthday.
Yes, we'll find out why they're warning businesses, though, ahead of the budget next month. We'll tell you more in a minute.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community.
So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Oh, dear. Yeah, we need a bit of a smile this morning. Anyway, let's tell you about JCB, should we? Celebrated its 80th birthday this week.
Well, contributing more than £2 billion a year to the economy and employing 8,000 people, it's one of Britain's biggest success stories. Well, our national reporter Jack Carson has the story.
My mother used to tell me, why are you building another factory? Why do you need another machine? Why do you need to extend the range? The thing is, honestly, you have to. You cannot stand still in business.
A British success story with a global impact. JCB's yellow machinery is an iconic site of British innovation, and 80 years on since it was founded, its heart is still here in Staffordshire. Company historian Julian Carter describes the humble beginnings.
Our founder, whose initials are JCB of course, he started manufacturing trailers from leftover war surplus material back in 1945 here in Uttoxeter. The breakthrough moment came in 1953 when he entered the construction market with what we know today as the backhoe loader. An ingenious moment was putting a front-end loader onto a tractor with an excavator on the back to become the backhoe loader.
Decades later, independent analysis shows JCB contributes £2.8 billion to UK GDP. The backhoe loader helped JCB become famous all over the world, and in 2025 they sold their 1 millionth unit. Unfortunately, not all of them come in a box quite as big. This week, the company announced £100 million of investment in new manufacturing facilities at its global headquarters in Rochester. CEO Graham MacDonald says the investment will secure jobs, but admits the Labour government's first budget has been a stumbling block.
It's a big investment. It's about modernisation. It's about efficiency. It's about protecting jobs in the future. So, yeah, very exciting. One thing we can't do is tax our way to growth. Making this country more competitive is about attracting inward investment, exactly the type of project we're announcing today. So we love an environment to be competitive in terms of low taxes, low energy costs. However, unfortunately, this government in the last budget didn't do that, and all the rhetoric we're hearing so far is about tax raises, and I don't think that's going to be particularly helpful.
Rachel Reeves is widely expected to raise taxes in her budget next month to keep to her fiscal rules. The Chancellor has indicated she's likely to focus on those wealthier individuals. Lord Anthony Bamford, born on the day the company was founded back in 1945, says not enough is being done to support businesses of all sizes.
There are 5.5 million small businesses in Britain, and I don't think they're looked after by any party. So that is being party political. There are only 2,000 public companies, 5.5 million. And if they employ 3 people each, that's 16 million people who are voters. And I think they're being ignored.
A birthday celebration with an eye on the future. JCB's investment aims to ensure British manufacturing is at the forefront of innovation for years to come. Jack Carson, GB News, Rochester.
Now time is ticking on for your chance to win the biggest prize of the year in our Great British giveaway. It's £104,000, isn't it?
It is.
Motorhome and 30 grand in tax-free cash. Yes. So here are all of the details that you need.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Someone is guaranteed to win our biggest prize to date, so make sure that winner could be you. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, best of luck to you. Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Motorists on the M8 should note restrictions between junctions 24 and 27 due to essential long-term maintenance, with a speed limit of 40 miles per hour. Delays are likely. The M48 between Junction 1 Ost and Junction 2 Newhouse faces disruptions in both directions due to high winds. In Shropshire, all lanes on the A49 northbound between the junctions with the A456 and the A4117 are closed due to a load spillage. And on the trains, Northern Bus Services are replacing trains between Corkickle and Whitehaven, while South Western Railway reports no train services between Aldershot and Ascot. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Now, do stay with us still to come. Manchester City forward Erling Haaland is sharing his morning routine, apparently. We're going to get all the details with Paul Coit next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bowl. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, time for the sport at 6:35. Paul Coyte is here. Good morning.
Some funny old scores. A bit of funny old football went on yesterday.
Well, Nottingham Forest, they're back, aren't they?
Well, yes, because after Ange Postecoglou and the 9 games that he was in charge of, and 39 days, and it was all a bit of a disaster, and the new manager comes in, Sean Dyche, and they win. First game. Not only do they win, but they beat Porto, who are from Portugal, who haven't lost all season.
So what do you read into that?
What do you read into that?
They're a lot happier now than they've been under Big Ange.
I'll tell you what I read into this.
Yeah.
They were successful. They were doing very well under the last manager, Nuno Espirito Santo. Changed the style of football under Ange. And whether it was going to work or whether it wasn't, it's a complete change. So it didn't work. And Sean Dyche has come out and then said afterwards, expect a return to the identity and style that brought Forest success last season. So basically what he's doing, we're going to go back to where we were because it worked. So why change things?
Yeah, well,
it's not, it's not rocket science. It really isn't. Aston Villa lost in the Netherlands against a club called, have you ever heard of Go Ahead Eagles?
No.
I thought they were a
Sounds
pub
American.
quiz team.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but Go Ahead Eagles. They won the cup in Holland last year. They're from. I don't even know what Deventer is. Have you followed? Do you know what Deventer is?
No.
I don't even. Anyway, they were formed in 1902. They were originally called Be Quick Eagles, but they had to change their name to Go Ahead Eagles.
Why?
I don't.
What's wrong
I
with
tell you,
Be Quick Eagles?
I do know why. Because there was another club that was also called Be Quick at the same time.
No.
So maybe they could have been called Be Not So Quick as the other quick ones, but then they call themselves Go Ahead Eagles.
They need a little bit of help with their naming policies.
It's really bizarre for a football team, isn't it? But anyway, you would expect that Aston Villa, who were favourites for the Europa League, would have gone out and won, and they didn't. They made too many changes, didn't work out, missed a penalty, so strange result for them. And the other one is Crystal Palace at home to AEK Larnaca of Cyprus.
Right.
Crystal Palace have not lost at home all season. They've only lost one game. They've been great, and it's their home debut in Europe, and you think this is going to be huge for them. And they go and lose to Larnaca of Cyprus, which I just can't fathom. Now, Larnaca did beat Alkmaar, AZ Alkmaar, 4-0, but even so, you'd think Crystal Palace, it's very strange. So there's been a few strange results overnight. So there we are.
Can you tell us about this marathon record holder who's been banned?
This is the world marathon record holder, Ruth Kepnigetich. Now, we like an excuse, don't we, when it comes to drugs bans?
Oh, we do. It was in the cake.
OK, well, there she is. She's the world... I can't emphasise enough, she's the world record holder when it comes to the marathon. And she's just been banned for 3 years after admitting anti-doping violations. But the world record stands because the violation, she was caught after she broke the world record.
Right.
Now, anyway, she denied it when the first allegations came out. No, can't explain it. No idea. Then she changed her story too. Unknowingly took her housemaid's medication when she was ill. I'm feeling a bit under the weather. What shall I have? Oh, my housemaid's got something. I'm not going to say that she's lying, but anyway, they didn't buy it. It is odd. So her world marathon record stands, and now she's been banned for 3 years. And it's just it just leaves a horrible taste in the mouth, doesn't it? It really does.
Well, that's because it was a housemate's pills.
That's probably why. They're not very tasty, are they? Not very nice.
You just wonder why, in this day and age, you sort of know you're going to get caught, don't you?
See, the thing is, Stephen, I don't know, because we don't know how sophisticated these drugs... I mean, obviously, we see these ones where they're getting caught, but there's others where you think, well, there's something going on there. How is it? So it's really where the anti-dopers are having to keep up with the dopers because it's always changing. They're always trying to evade it. And it's been going on for as long as athletics has been going on. So, whether they're going to beat it, I don't know.
Now, there's one thing which is, honestly, it keeps me awake at night.
Does it? What's that?
I sort of think, what does Erling Haaland do in the morning?
You know what? It's what I was thinking about every morning. And I think if only I could live my life like Erling Haaland. Well, look, there's a new documentary which is out on YouTube.
Thank heavens.
Which is, I know, for you almost, the day in the life of a footballer. And Erling, it's about 25 minutes long. I've been watching it all morning. And quite frankly, I'm going to live a new Nordic steak-eating life. This is how Erling Haaland begins his day with a nice brew. Here we go. This is what he does.
Morning, guys. Come on in. Come on. You want a brew? You want, I can make you one. Coffee is a superfood in my eyes, if you do it right. Why? Depends on the quality, when you drink it, and of course how. So yeah, I'm into my coffee. Need a little bit of this in, milk. Superfood as well, I think. It's good for us, it's good for our stomach, it's good for our skin, it's good for our bones and muscles. That's why I drink it. Here you go. Try, see if you like it. This is how I drink it. With milk, maple syrup to protect the caffeine with fat and sugar. Enjoy.
He likes his coffee.
It's so much better than Meghan's show, isn't it? I mean, I enjoyed it so much more.
So he has coffee in the morning.
Has coffee.
That's his routine.
You know what?
What we've established.
Superfood.
It's superfood, but it's all about the raw milk. Does that mean it's straight from the
It does
cow?
mean that.
All right, okay, straight from the udder, straight to Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
And he goes on. You know what? It's really good. And then he goes out and he buys some steaks, and then he goes to training, and it's all his day. And then
nice.
I'm going to show you some more a little bit later. I think you'll enjoy it. You're going to change your life. You really are. You're going to be the new Erling Haaland.
Am I?
Yeah, I have a funny feeling.
Right. There you go. Well, good.
You're not convinced, are you?
No, but he's got a nice kitchen. I'll give him that.
Well,
yeah,
you
when
would
you're,
do.
when you're
He's
on
kind of
160 million a year, I'd have a nice kitchen too.
Yeah.
And a nice coffee machine at that.
Yes.
Oh, very good.
Thanks, Coity.
Pleasure.
Right, still to come.
Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman confirmed that they'll be stepping down from hosting Strictly Come Dancing after this year's series. We're going to be bringing you more on that and other stories in the papers with Mike Parry and Lewis Oakley. Morning, you two. Chat to you in a second.
First, though, if you fancy a bit of holiday sun, here's the forecast for Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the cold weather expected this weekend in the UK, you'll find some sunshine in Italy, but plenty of blustery showers about as well. And some fairly wet weather pushing through parts of Portugal, particularly to the north of Lisbon, into much of Spain, especially to the north. And France will be particularly wet with thundery rain in places. Italy, a few showers, but a gusty wind as well. Plenty of fine weather for Greece, and it stays that way through the weekend and early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
I thought I'd heard everything in terms of council insanity, but charging people £1,000 to park on their own driveway, this takes the biscuit.
I think, firstly, the amount that they are charging is a huge amount for parking on your own drive. But equally, that sheer amount and the threat of court action causes a lot of anguish and grief, especially to the older people, to vulnerable, to disabled people that I've all come across have had this. And to make it even worse, the council has not actually ever once collected the £1,000 fine. So they're sending letters out, threatening a £1,000 fine, and they've never, ever actually collected that fine. It just causes complete unnecessary misery for people.
Well, that's the definition of insanity. So to threaten a £1,000 fine but not actually collect the fine. So what's the point?
I don't know what the point. There is a bit of a possible conflict of interest because the people sending out the letter are Balfour Beatty, who subcontract the roads for Southampton Council, and obviously they also will install drop curbs.
Funny that. So what's happening here is you get a £1,000 threat through the post, and by the way, if you want to avoid that, simply come to the council. And by the way, we can install one of these drop curbs in for you at a handsome price of 800 quid. 800 quid to get a curb in outside your house when you don't need it. You can go up a normal curb as it is. And I put it to you, every Englishman's home is his castle. This is the violation of that.
Well, we've had cases where people are in council homes and they've been there for 40 years. They've been parking on their drive for 40 years, and suddenly they get a letter saying, sorry, £1,000 fine.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, time for the front pages now at 6:46, and the Times leads on the grooming gang's inquiry, reports that it's set to be delayed until next year.
The Daily Telegraph reports on the Bloody Sunday murder trial after Soldier F was found not guilty yesterday.
The Sun leads on Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman's departure from Strictly.
And finally, The Guardian reports that the Chancellor could raise income tax in next month's budget.
All right, joining us to go through all of that, Mike Parry and Lewis Oakley. Good morning, you two.
Good morning, you two.
Mike, let's start with the Times, should we? Looking at Soldier F.
Yes, I know. This is something which interests me greatly. I spent 18 months in Northern Ireland at the height of the Troubles. That was between 79 and 81. Went right through the hunger strikes, and so I know intimately, you know, the political pressures in that part of the world. This was much earlier. This was 72, Bloody Sunday, one of the most infamous events in post-war British history as far as the army's concerned. But to me, it's always been a terrible imbalance. The prosecutions against soldiers who had to act in a split second in a situation where, to this day, they claim opening fire came from the other side. That is still a claim from this day. And the soldiers then say they responded. It was 53 years ago today. And this Soldier F has only just been cleared. He's in his 70s, but the case has been hanging over him for 10 years. And when you think that 90% of all killings during the Troubles occurred, were caused by terrorists from both sides, but terrorists nevertheless, you wonder why so much focus is on army soldiers just doing their job when, of course, Tony Blair issued what's called comfort letters to hundreds of potential criminals who could have been prosecuted, but got these comfort letters which, in effect, let them off. They've all been discarded now as well. That was part of the peace deal. But soldiers are still being pursued.
No, I agree.
Sir Keir Starmer's being told to stop the show trials of these Troubles veterans.
Well, it's a really difficult one, and there's a lot of tensions, obviously, on many different sides here. I mean, for someone that, obviously, this happened before I was born, and looking at it, you know, sort of now, if I were in that situation where, you know, a loved one had gone to a protest and had ended up dead, I would want to know why, especially when there are the claims, you know, that they were unarmed and that this was by people in a position of authority. I guess the question is, why has it taken 53 years? Because reading through it, you know, it's very hard to prove anything after 53 years.
But that's looking at, I mean, and I absolutely get your point, but that's looking at it in today's light.
It is.
Actually, and when you look at what things were like back then, it's a totally different scenario.
Unbelievable. I mean, another case which is being investigated was an SAS manoeuvre in which they stopped a lorry load of explosives being taken into a police station to blow up everybody in the police station. There's been an investigation as to whether the soldiers behaved properly in that case. But the other thing I'd say about this is that the evidence, when it was put to the court, was completely insufficient to merit any sort of prosecution. That's the words from the judge himself. So how did it ever get to court? There were allegedly 2 witnesses who were 2 other soldiers who gave the Royal Military Police scant information sometime after the event that it could have been Soldier F, didn't stand up in court. So why did it get to court?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
It looks as though it's, you know, persecution of one side but not the other.
Yeah.
Lewis, let's look at something totally different, shall we? But it's across the front pages this morning. Tess and Claudia leave Strictly.
Yes, this is huge news. Literally across all of the front pages. They shocked everyone yesterday with a video announcement, which was quite interesting, actually, because I think with Strictly, I mean, it makes the front pages all the time with rumours of what's going on and what's not going on. Yes. So the fact that they actually managed to scoop it and say, look, we're going to tell you right now from the horse's mouth, hasn't stopped speculation, though. I mean, there's already rumours about, you know, whose decision was it, who was influencing who. A lot of people now saying that actually will the show be able to continue without them. So they were a few years ago pulling in 13 million and it's gone down to 5.6 million. Now, I kind of think, you know, presenters come and go. I mean, survived Bruce Forsyth leaving. No offence. Presenters come and go. It survived Bruce Forsyth leaving. You know, they'll be able to survive this. My hope would just be that they find... So I know that someone was saying, oh, maybe Zoe Ball will do it. But I think this is a great opportunity to get in some new talent, some cheaper talent, so they can save some money on the licence fee.
I'm sorry, but I think the show's over. It's over now because they are the presentation team. I mean, look what happened when the Question of Sport decided to take off all the regular faces, put new people in. The show collapsed after a year. Now, that was a BBC programming decision. This is because the 2 presenters have decided to pull out. I mean, Claudia Wilkman, what a brave woman. She's at the very peak of broadcasting popularity in this country and has suddenly decided, I'm leaving, I don't want to be branded all the time on Strictly. She's got traitors and there's talk. She may now be developed into the new Terry Wogan in her own show, interviewing people. Well, I mean, look, I've worked with Claudia's mother in Fleet Street for years, right? And I know the strength and power of persuasion that family have, and I have absolutely no doubt she'll go on to even greater things, and best of luck to her.
Yeah, she's a talent. She's a talent. She's a very nice lady.
Yeah, very nice indeed, yeah.
Mind you, she might not want to be making loads more money, because the Telegraph says income tax is going to go up.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to come to this, wasn't it? Eventually, you know, Rachel Reeves, who, in my mind, is economically illiterate, economically and fiscally illiterate, she can't seem to work out why I can't get growth. Growth, 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 she keeps saying. But if you make the cost of labour more expensive, if prices are going up because you're making everybody's products more expensive, you're not going to get growth. And so now she's had to turn and break one of her golden rules. It might have to be income tax, which actually I think would have been the best decision in the first place. I think it's the fairest form of tax.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would have been. It just depends what they're going to rate. The basic rate, higher rate, extra high rate.
I don't know. All I can tell you is they're picking on parcels of people. If you're a property investor, you are suffering very badly now. Council tax is doubled if you've got a second home, all this sort of thing, and that's terribly unfair in my view. I think you should spread it across. I don't think we need more taxes. I think we need less taxes, because less spending, less taxes, generate the economy, but Rachel Reeves is incapable of seeing that, in my view.
I think the problem is here, like, I have heard every different tax suggested. She's looking at everything, and I almost think the speculation and pushing the budget back so far is causing more trouble. Even I'm sat here just panicking, reading all of these. She might be looking at this, she might be looking at that. I mean, look, if she does this, I know we're talking about one pence here, but at the same time, she's going back on pledges and she's going around, you know, convincing everyone that she's someone to be trusted. I mean, Labour are already unpopular. It's hard to imagine how more unpopular they could get. But this, of course, will impact their credibility. And I just think there are people now that are working hard, that are thinking, well, what is the point? What is the point?
I totally agree. When you say she's gone back on her pledges, she's gone back on 2 massive pledges. First of all, in their manifesto, I'm not going to put up income tax. But secondly, after a disastrous budget last October, which has flatlined the economy, she said, I'm not coming back for more.
Yeah, well, if only.
Here we are.
All right, you two, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on.
Let's get a check on the weather now with Aidan McGibbon.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Some bright spells around today, but also plenty of blustery showers and even some longer spells of rain, all accompanied by a cold wind coming from the north. And that wind particularly strong towards the northeast of the UK as low pressure pulls away, but continues to extend a band of wet weather into eastern Scotland and the northeast of England. And we'll see coastal gales around exposed northeastern parts, but elsewhere it's just a blustery day with further showers, some heavy downpours for the southwest in particular, even the odd rumble of thunder. Away from the showers, some sunshine. However, it is going to feel cold in the wind with temperatures a few degrees down compared with average for the time of year. Now, the rain across northeast Scotland pushes into southern parts during the evening and northern England later on, with further showers following for the north and northwest of Scotland. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of showers, but also some bright spells in between. 11 degrees at 6 p.m. And for much of England and Wales, we keep the showers going well into the evening, but there will be some clear spells, particularly through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. Here's that band of rain sinking south into the Midlands during the evening and then East Anglia by midnight, but eventually it pulls away into the North Sea, and that means that for many of us, we'll see clear spells overnight. Enough of a breeze to prevent a widespread frost, but it will be a chilly start in places on Saturday with temperatures dipping to the mid-single figures, even some places seeing the low single figures. So, yeah, pretty fresh out there first thing this weekend, but plenty of bright weather. It will still feel cold in the wind coming from the north, and that wind will bring some wintry showers to northern Scotland, snow falling over the hills of northern Scotland, but no disruption likely from that. Rain showers elsewhere, but plenty of sunny spells in between the downpours, particularly in central eastern parts, continuing though to feel very cold.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 between junctions 24 and 27 faces restrictions due to long-term maintenance, with speed limited to 40 miles per hour. Be prepared for delays. High winds affect the M48 between junction 1 Ost and junction 2 Newhouse. A traffic incident on the A66 eastbound between the A67 and the A1M results in lane closures. In Shropshire, a spillage on the A49 northbound between the A456 and the A4117 closes all lanes. And on the trains, buses replace services between Birkenhead Hamilton Square and Ellesmere Port or Chester, and Corkicle and Whitehaven. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air, gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A historic defeat for Labour in the Caerphilly by-election.
Plaid Cymru's Lindsay Whittle wins the Senedd seat for the first time.
Listen now, Cardiff, and listen, Westminster. This is Caerphilly and Wales telling you we want a better deal for every corner of Wales. This means everything to me and the people of Caerphilly constituency. You mean everything to me.
Well, Reform UK's Leah Powell came second.
I'm grateful to every voter that came to the ballot box and voted for reform, despite the fear and attacks that have been put against them by the other parties.
But with fewer than 4,000 seats between Plaid Cymru and Reform UK, could this be a sign of what's to come in next year's Senedd election?
It really could, Ellie. A disaster for Labour, a disappointment for Reform. But what's it mean for the May elections next year? The two main parties, Tories and Labour, got just 13% of the vote. Is the end of the two-party politics on the horizon?
The grooming gang inquiry hits another roadblock as the Home Office admits it could take months to find a new chairman after the frontrunners quit.
After small boat arrivals surpassed 2024's total 2 months early, there's reports the Home Office wants to sign the one-in, one-out deal with Germany and the Netherlands.
History is made as the King prays alongside the Pope, ushering in a new era of Christian faith after 500 years of division.
Resident doctors in England announce another 5 days of strike action next month. We're going to be debating if it's time to ban doctors from taking to the picket line.
And Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman announced their departure from Strictly.
Hi, it's Claude and Tess. There have been some rumblings and we want you to hear this from us.
Yeah, we have news. After 21 wonderfully joyful years on Strictly, we have decided that the time is right to step aside and pass over the baton.
Well, in sport this morning, it was the good, the bad and the ugly in Europe. The good, Nottingham Forest get their new manager bounce and finally win a game against Porto, and Celtic beat Sturm Graz. The bad, Europa League favourites Aston Villa lose to the 12th best team in Holland and Norway. Rangers are beaten again. And the ugly, the 5th best team in Cyprus beat Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park and Aberdeen lose 6-0.
Pressure pulls away. We're going to see colder winds arrive from the north with a mix of sunny spells and showers. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast. Now, where's your favourite place to eat in your house? If you had to have dinner anywhere in your house, where would you eat it?
The dining room.
Yeah, I like to sit at the table as well.
So I sit at the table, but I do quite like to sit in front of the TV. But I do sit at the table. But I imagine that's where most people do it, right?
Yes, correct. There's a survey out this morning that 9 in 10 British people like to eat their dinner on the sofa. It's their favourite place to eat the dinner. Oh, hello, Oscar. You don't have a dining table, do you?
Well,
you don't eat dinner.
So I live on my own, and I quite like eating it in bed.
No.
That's so messy.
Do you actually get in bed and eat it?
Or do you sit on the bed?
Yes, you do, don't you?
It depends on the season, I guess.
What, with an actual hot dinner?
Yeah.
Like a spag bowl?
Yeah,
and
whatever.
do you get bits of dinner all over your bed?
No.
I couldn't be coping with the crumbs.
Yeah, so I just wanted to confess
Does that become an issue?
I feel better having got that off my chest now.
Fine.
It's quite the confession.
I think it's like the ultimate kind of comfort when you're on your own.
Oscar, is this happening a little bit too much at the moment?
It might be. It might
Okay,
be.
fine.
Needs an intervention, Paul.
Okay.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know. Where do we go from here with Oscar, do you think?
Well, do you know what? You're not alone, Oscar. I'm going to help you out here.
Come on, Ellie, help me out.
There's experts are saying that your experience is legitimate.
It is legitimate.
Yeah,
It's legitimate.
Meals are tastier when they're consumed in places that bring comfort and joy, which I think would be your bet.
Thank you.
So there you go. This is from Charles Spence at Oxford University, who says when we eat something we really enjoy in a place that makes us feel calm, our brain releases the feel-good chemical dopamine.
Yeah, after a long day, you just
try to
get your spag bowl out the microwave.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tragic, Oscar.
Your favourite sofa snack as well? I've got this here. What's the nation's favourite sofa snack?
Chocolate and tea.
Close.
And chocolate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well done, you two. 64% say chocolate. That would be me. 36% cheese and onion crisps. That would be you.
Cheese and onion crisps?
Yeah.
I don't really like cheese and onion.
No, do you not?
No, salt and vinegar for me.
Oh, sorry.
Too much.
Oh, no, I like that. Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, well, there you go.
So if you eat on your sofa, you're not alone. And
No.
apparently if you eat in your bed, you're not
then
alone.
you're as disgusting as Oscar.
Oscar, I'm just going to see you in a completely different way now. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
His credibility's absolutely shot. Absolutely shot. Right, we've got some breaking news, actually. British retail sales unexpectedly rose 0.5% in September. The Economist had expected sales to slip by 0.2% from the month before.
Well, compared with a year earlier, retail sales were up 1.5% versus expectations of a 0.4% rise. So, positive news?
It is positive news for the Chancellor.
The budget next month.
It looks good, quite what impact it would have and how you balance it out against what else is going on in the economy. General growth, of course, is rising, but I mean, it's basically flat. It's like a rounding error. So it is a little bit of good news. What's driving that is going to be the interesting thing.
It's almost too early for Christmas shopping, isn't it?
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see, dig in those figures and see what that is.
You know, have we seen a significant drop in prices in some things which has led to this? I just don't know. It's why you need to... It's a good headline figure for the government. Need to dig into all of this to see what is actually the driving factors in it all. But we should be doing that throughout the course of the day.
Now let's turn to our top story, because Labour has suffered an unprecedented loss in the Caerphilly by-election overnight.
We listened to the issues raised on the doorsteps and drew up plans. We know people don't want empty promises. They want to see their lives be better, to see tomorrow to be better than today.
Well, after more than a century representing the area, Sir Keir Starmer's party secured less than 4,000 votes, compared to Plaid Cymru's 16,000 and Reform's 12,000.
Well, Plaid Cymru's Lindsay Whittle teared up while celebrating his historic win.
Listen now, Cardiff, and listen, Westminster. This is Caerphilly and Wales telling you we want a better deal for every corner of Wales. The big parties need to sit up and take notice. Wales, we are at the dawn of new leadership. We are at the dawn of a new beginning.
Well, let's head to Caerphilly, should we? Our political editor, Christopher Hope, is there for us. I mean, frame this for us, Chris. Just how bad is this for Labour?
Well, it's a disaster. At these levels, it may be that Labour don't even end up with a member of the Welsh Parliament next May, because of the new way they're going to calculate it on a list-based system. 90 new seats here, up from 60 or so at the moment, and it could be 90 members of the Parliament rather than only 16 actual big large seats. You could have simply Reform and Plaid racking up large numbers of members of that Parliament, and the parties nowhere. Just look at those numbers there on the Tory party on 2%, Labour on 11%. That's 13% for the two main parties in this country. Plaid on 47% last night, and Reform on 36%. So an amazing night, I think, for challenger parties. It just shows, I think, how difficult it is really for the main parties to cut through. At both ends of the M4 motorway, Labour have got problems, both in Cardiff coming up and also clearly in Westminster with the rows over the big besetting that government over small boats and the like.
Chris, what did you make of the turnout? It was over 50%, which is high for a by-election, isn't it?
that is high. Normally much lower than that, because voters don't like to be asked to vote all the time. Of course, this by-election was called by the tragic death of Hefin David, of course, much more than tear. And you saw the emotional speech there from Lindsay Whittle. It was worth reflecting on him. He's the Plaid candidate, now the AM for Caerphilly. He has tried 13 times to be elected to office for Plaid Cymru. He won at the 14th time of asking. He said it's better than scoring the winning try for Wales against New Zealand in the Rugby World Cup, and we're in the Valleys. That's a big deal. It shows the importance of it, but really there was lots of emotion last night given the tragic death of the previous incumbent here.
Obviously, Plaid, understandably, and Reform both saying, well, these results show they could go on to take over the Senedd next year. Are they legitimate claims from both those parties?
I think they are. I think it's a slight wake-up call for Reform UK. We've all drunk the Kool-Aid on their soaring success in the polls, but this shows, I think, how the British public will have a say over whether Reform UK get their taste of power, because it looks like, to me, there was a potential tactical voting last night. I think as Labour supporters saw the votes fall away for their party, they moved to Plaid to keep Reform out. And anecdotally, Reform were telling us how there was some concern about the Plaid were telling us they were concerned about Reform because the divisive nature of some of their policies could mean they would be concerned about that. So I think it looks like there was a degree of a progressive alliance trying to keep Reform out, and that may accelerate going to May's elections next year. So yes, they're ahead of the polls nationally, but they've got to do a lot more to seal the deal and win power. And we saw how hard they worked to win that Runcorn by-election. They fell short in Scotland at the Stonehouse, Larkhall and Hamilton by-election, and they fell short again last night. So that's probably why Nigel Farage didn't turn up.
OK, Christopher Hope, thank you very much, and happy birthday to all of us, to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, let's get more reaction from former Special Advisor Oscar Reddrop, who's here in the studio. Before we reflect on what's happened overnight, what's your take on these new retail figures? Which are better than expected. I mean, it's just, you get the impression, understandably, that actually number 11 is going to grasp with both hands on any little bit of unexpected positive economic news.
Yeah, it's definitely surprising, and it will be interesting to see the drivers behind it. I think it would be hard pushed for the government to try and own those positive pushes behind it. And when you look at things like, it was only last week, I think it was announced that we have the highest levels of inflation of any G7 nation, which makes this even more surprising, actually. Rachel Reeves has a huge budget coming up. And I think, and you kind of hinted at it earlier, Stephen, as the news broke, you know, the kind of the counterfactuals and the counterbalances, that are going on here, I think that are government-led do lessen the impact of this positive news. You know, there'll be a lot of retail businesses out there that, of course, will be, pleased with results like this, but will be acknowledging things like the NICS rise on effectively a jobs tax on their businesses, and they will be incredibly wary of the potential tax rises to come in the budget as well. But no, undoubtedly positive news, and actually very, very surprising news when you zoom out and look at general consumer trends.
Yeah, we're just having a look at these official figures here in the write-up for it. Due to higher sales at tech stores and a strong demand for gold from online jewellers. The price of gold has been going up, hasn't it, as well?
And they're listed as some of the main drivers behind this.
Yeah,
fascinating.
The two main drivers, really interesting. Can we have a look at Caerphilly overnight, and touching upon what Christopher Hope was saying there? A great result for Reform. I know they came second, but I think in 4 years they've gone from something like 2% of the vote to 36% of the vote. But the question will be now, can Reform convert the large poll leads to election wins?
Well, that is going to be a challenge for Reform, and I think that'll be particularly a challenge for Reform when the Labour vote completely decimates, and then those voters that have completely abandoned Labour in historic fashion last night, I cannot emphasise that enough, they look around and they go, well, I don't want to go to Reform, where can I go? And then at that point you start to see a more progressive centre-left alliance that becomes a stop reform vote. And I think that was quite a big part of what happened last night, and that is something Reform are going to have to watch out for. Look, there'll be a lot of people who will want to kind of dance on the grave of Reform not taking that seat last night. But, you know, you have to remember, like, and this will be interesting for how Reform kind of learn and move from this. It's almost like, you know, I don't know, a football team that are just, you know, winning every single game, every single week, and they think this is just far too easy. And then they hit a bit of a patch where they draw, they get a loss, and how they kind of react and bounce back from that, because they will be disappointed, Reform, undoubtedly. But Keir Starmer's unpopularity down in Westminster is is the key driver behind this. It's fascinating. You really get a sense when you see, you know, out on the doorstep in Caerphilly and across the country, people seem done with the Labour government already. 14 years of Tory rule, people were done, and it feels like after basically 14 months. There's a similar feeling out there towards Starmer and Labour.
It's extraordinary,
It really is.
All right, Oscar, for now, thanks very much indeed. The King and the Pope have made their own little bit of history yesterday. They prayed together in what was a symbolic moment of unity for Anglicans and Roman Catholics around the globe.
Well, the Pontiff led the prayer during a special service in the Vatican's famous Sistine Chapel. Our royal correspondent, Cameron Walker, was there.
History in the making. The strongest relations between the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church for 500 years.
Let us pray.
A British monarch praying publicly for the first time with a pope. After a private audience, the King and Queen joined Pope Leo in the Sistine Chapel as its choirs sang alongside those from His Majesty's Chapel Royal and St George's Chapel, Windsor. Shared music, symbolising unity and reconciliation. Across town, their Majesties attended a special service at St Paul's outside the walls, celebrating the King's new title, Royal Confrater, meaning spiritual fellowship. A title approved by the Pope. And the King returned the favour. Pope Leo, now Papal Confrater of St George's Chapel. It's one thing the palace stressing the significance of the moments that the King is the first British monarch in 500 years to pray publicly with the Pope, but just the amount of crowd that has come out to greet His Majesty just after that moment really emphasises perhaps how important it is to Roman Catholics here in Italy and back in Britain.
And to see His Majesty there with the Pope and having that Christian unity is a beautiful and significant moment.
I just think it's showing something on both the parts that they're trying to separate this divide that's a bit ridiculous.
As politicians continue to voice concern about the King's brothers' living arrangements, Britain's most senior Catholic priest, Cardinal Vincent Nichols, offered some spiritual guidance.
I would sum it in this way. In the King's mind, in our mind, in the Pope's mind, religion is not a problem to be solved. It's a gift that we all need.
The King's short visit to the Holy See is expected to form part of his legacy. Defender of the faiths, honouring his mission to promote interfaith peace and harmony. Cameron Walker, GB News in Rome.
I think it's very nice to see, actually.
I think it's nice. They seem to get along well.
Yeah, which is nice.
On a personal level.
You know, you've got to have good relations. And the Pope is, you know, he's a world leader, in effect, isn't he?
Well, he is, yeah.
A very influential one.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's got to be a good thing, surely. Right, should we see what the weather's going to do? It wasn't raining where I live this morning, which is a positive. I don't know if it's going to continue throughout the day, but
hope so.
Aidan's got all the details.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Some bright spells around today, but also plenty of blustery showers and even some longer spells of rain, all accompanied by a cold wind coming from the north. And that wind particularly strong towards the northeast of the UK as low pressure pulls away, but continues to extend a band of wet weather into eastern Scotland and the northeast of England. And we'll see coastal gales around exposed northeastern parts, but elsewhere it's just a blustery day with further showers, some heavy downpours for the southwest in particular, even the odd rumble of thunder. Away from the showers, some sunshine. However, it is going to feel cold in the wind with temperatures a few degrees down compared with average for the time of year. Now, the rain across northeast Scotland pushes into southern parts during the evening and northern England later on, with further showers following for the north and northwest of Scotland. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of showers, but also some bright spells in between. 11 degrees at 6 p.m. And for much of England and Wales, we keep the showers going well into the evening, but there will be some clear spells, particularly through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. Here's that band of rain sinking south into the Midlands during the evening and then East Anglia by midnight, but eventually it pulls away into the North Sea, and that means that for many of us, we'll see clear spells overnight. Enough of a breeze to prevent a widespread frost, but it will be a chilly start in places on Saturday with temperatures dipping to the mid-single figures, even some places seeing the low single figures. So, yeah, pretty fresh out there first thing this weekend, but plenty of bright weather. It will still feel cold in the wind coming from the north, and that wind will bring some wintry showers to northern Scotland, snow falling over the hills of northern Scotland, but no disruption likely from that. Rain showers elsewhere, but plenty of sunny spells in between the downpours, particularly in central eastern parts, continuing though to feel very cold.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Just got a view in from Sean. We're talking about our favourite place as Britons to eat our dinner. Apparently, the nation's favourite place to eat their dinner is on the sofa. And experts are saying that makes sense, because if you're sat somewhere where you're comfortable and happy, food tastes better.
It is quite nice to watch a bit of telly.
It's true.
While you're eating.
It's very true. So it's got us talking about sofa snacks. And the nation's favourite snack is chocolate.
Oh, yes, chocolate.
Followed by cheese and onion crisps. Anyway, Sean's been in touch saying cheese on toast is the ultimate sofa snack, and I won't be told otherwise.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sean, to be honest.
The ultimate
cheese on toast is proper lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
It's done
Good
right.
shout. Anyway, keep your views coming in on that or any of the stories that we're talking about today at gbnews.com/you'll say.
Yeah, you can eat as much cheese on toast as you like if you get £30,000 in your back pocket whilst you're sitting in your £74,000 motorhome, which could all be yours in our biggest ever Great British Giveaway. You've got a week still to go. Here are all the details.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Someone is guaranteed to win our biggest prize to date, so make sure that winner could be you. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, as resident doctors announce another 5-day strike next month, we're asking, should doctors be banned from going on strike? We're going to be debating that next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Morning to you, it's 7:27. Now, resident doctors, that's junior doctors to you and me, remember them? Anyway, those in England will go on strike next month between November the 14th and 19th over jobs and pay.
Well, resident doctors make up around half of all doctors in the NHS. So we're asking, should they be banned from striking going forward?
Let's talk to GP Dean Eggett and the academic and author, Dr. Lisa Mackenzie. Good to see you both this morning. Dean, as a GP, what do you think? Should anyone in the medical profession be able to go on strike?
Good morning, Ellie and Stephen. No, I don't believe that doctors should be able to strike. It's a very blunt tool. It's based upon legislation that's 150 years old, and it harms patients, quite frankly. So I don't see any cause for it. We're far more intelligent, and we've evolved over the last 150 years to be able to bring in new ways of protecting patients. So no, I don't believe that doctors should be able to strike, and I think we need to update the law to allow doctors to protect patients via different means. This is crazy that we continue to do this over these many years.
Dr. Lisa Mackenzie, what do you think?
I think being able to withdraw your labour from your employer is a fundamental human right for all of us. I'm not sure what being intelligent means or how that's related to this subject. I'm sure that the resident doctors have thought long and hard about this. They're pushing at the government. Their employer is the government, and it's what them and their members have decided to do. It's a fundamental human right, and it's also about democracy. You know, if we start
well, except Lisa, I mean, the different. I mean, if we're talking about you and me, fine, but we're talking about people who, if they withdraw their labour, there's a very real chance that people, innocent people, will die as a result.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm sure that the resident doctors are fully aware of that. I'm sure that they are absolutely aware of, much better than any of us here, about the consequences of their actions. And whether we agree with them or not, I still think that part of our democracy, part of who we are as a nation, is being able to withdraw your labour. I think if we start taking that away from different groups, the consequences for our democracy and the consequences for how we see, ourselves as a nation, I think it damages that.
Dean, do you think it's a human right for people to be able to remove their labour?
Healthcare is a human right. Since the doctors' strikes, we've had, I think, 11 walkouts. I'm about to have the 12th walkout since 2022. Which has affected over 1.5 million patients. Whilst there's no evidence in the press of direct harm in a hospital, it's quite clear that there is harm in frustrating the healthcare system of those patients who are left waiting for care outside of the hospital system. In particular, I should add, patients of an ethnic minority who appear to be disproportionately harmed during strikes. So yes, I agree with the concept of the fundamental human right of being able to withdraw your labour. But like I said, this is 150 years old. We've advanced since then, and we can think outside of the box rather than using the blunt tool of strikes.
Well, except, Dean, what are those other tools? Because a lot of people do say, don't they, that they can talk to their blue in the face, they can argue, they can protest, they can do whatever they want, but nothing changes. And so people sometimes feel strike action is the only resort that makes any difference.
Well, you're absolutely right, except the fact that strike action doesn't make any difference. So there is no strike action amongst doctors in the UK in history that has achieved any of its intended outcomes. Strikes work by incremental gains where you chip away bit by bit. And if we're expecting doctors to chip away bit by bit, what we can expect is many more years of strikes and millions more patients harmed. So what I would like to see is actually unions going to the government and say, OK, let's talk about banning striking, but let's put different legal safeguards in place instead so that doctors can raise concerns about the NHS, have it legally mandated that the NHS must act upon it, and let's have that in paper and black and white so that we all stick to it. But striking is old-fashioned, ineffective and harms patients. It needs to be banned.
Lisa, what do you make of that as an idea?
Well, I think it's a bit naive, actually. The doctors are employed by the government, and to sort of say that the employer would sit down and listen. Or we have different governments every 5 years, so you don't know who you're going to get. Having a legal precedent where you're not allowed to strike, I don't think that's the right thing to do. I do think that you should sit down with your employer and you should talk. I do think that striking must be the last thing that you do. I come from a striking miners family in Nottinghamshire, and we were on strike for a year. The consequences of being on strike is massive towards families and communities. So I don't take that lightly. I also, I don't always support the resident doctors when they do strike. Sometimes I think that they have gone on strike too lightly. However, I would still defend their right to strike.
All right, you two, we've got to leave it there. But really good to talk to you both. Dean Eggett, Lisa McKenzie, thanks very much. I mean, loads of comments coming in on this one. People really not in favour of allowing doctors to strike. Anthony says police can't do it, neither can the armed forces. Doctors should fall into that category. Yeah,
John makes the point, perhaps you wouldn't have the same reaction when a loved one dies because you couldn't get a doctor or a doctor wasn't available.
I think that is the big difference, which you cannot avoid, is it's people, innocent people, will suffer directly as a result of that sort of strike action. But if whatever your view, get in touch, gbnews.com/you'll say.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come at 8 o'clock, we're going to be speaking to the Shadow Crime Minister, Matt Vickers, about the grooming gangs inquiry and why it could now take months before it even begins.
Before that, though, the women's marathon world record holder has been given a 3-year doping ban. We'll tell you more in a moment.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 between junctions 24 and 27 is restricted in both directions due to roadworks, with a 40 miles per hour speed limit causing delays. The M48 has high wind issues between junctions 1 Ost and 2 Newhouse. Durham's A66 westbound faces lane closures from a collision. In Greater London, the M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 26 and 25 has a lane closed after an accident. The A49 in Shropshire is closed northbound due to a spillage. And on the trains, Merseyrail services between Birkenhead Hamilton Square and Ellesmere Port or Chester are not operational. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight. On the
unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Right, sport time.
Welcome back. It's sports time. Coitie's here.
You know what? It was a funny old evening.
Oh.
I think in European football yesterday.
See.
Firstly, Nottingham Forest won a game, which is good, which is under the new manager Sean Dyche, so we know. And
that's about getting him in charge.
How's Ange feeling now, do you think? Well, if I'd have played that way, then I would have had that result.
Bitter.
Yes, I think maybe. Sean Dyche has said expect a return to the identity and style that brought Forest success last season. So forget what just happened with the last manager. We're going back to where we were before.
Yeah. Well, it worked last time, though. That's the thing.
It did work last time. So they beat Porto 2-0 at the City Ground. And Porto are a very good side and hadn't lost this season, so very good from them. Aston Villa lost in the Netherlands against the team with our favourite name, Go Ahead Eagles. Go Ahead Eagles.
Previously known as?
Previously known as...
Be Quick.
Be quick, Eagles, but that was in 1903, wasn't it? So Go Ahead Eagles, I will segue quite beautifully to Crystal Palace, who never went ahead, who are called the Eagles, of course, and never went ahead in the whole game.
Oh, yeah, very good.
OK, maybe I'll have to work on that one. But Crystal Palace lost to AK Larnaca from Cyprus. I think it's a very strange result because you would expect that they would beat Larnaca very easily. They've been unbeaten at Selhurst Park this year. They've only lost one game. It's their first game at home in Europe in their history, and they go and lose to AK Larnaca of Cyprus. No disrespect to them, but they're fifth in the Cyprus League. You would expect Crystal Palace to win.
Well, you would think so.
Would you like to see some gymnastics?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, why not?
Do you remember we did that yesterday?
We
did the
love
male
gymnastics, yeah.
Firstly, it's in Indonesia. My wife went to Indonesia.
Jakarta.
No, she took the plane. Anyway, let's go over to Jakarta, shall we? And Russia's... And she... All right, I've got a problem already, because why is this Russian allowed to be taking part in the World Gymnastics Championship?
I don't know.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Are they doing it under the neutral flag?
I think she's pretending to be from Belgium.
Oh, I see.
But anyway, Russia's Angelina Melenkova. Let's see. This is how she won the women's all-round title. We're starting off, I believe this looks like the start of the vault, because that's the way I'd always start the vault.
She's
what is
flapping.
going on? There's a bit too much going on there.
She's going to take
Just
off in a
get
minute.
on with what you're doing. OK, here we go. Too much time faffing around, but my goodness, it was worth it. Look at that. A slight little dodgy step at the end, do we think, possibly?
Oh, please, after that, I don't blame her.
OK,
They are
uneven
so
bars.
impressive.
Didn't they used to call these the isometric bars, but they don't call them that anymore?
Oh, don't they?
That bendy bit when you land on the other bit.
I don't know how they do that, you know.
It's just crazy. I couldn't even hang just from one of those
No, neither
bars.
could I. I wouldn't have the upper body strength.
Ellie, did you not do gymnastics when you were at school?
Yeah, for about 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, didn't end well?
I wasn't very good.
Well, what about this? This scares the life out of me. That's the balance beam, of course. So this is where she wins a gold medal for all the events, the all-round title. So there's the balance beam. Look at that.
Oh, it's when they flip backwards on it. How do they do that?
There's got to be a point when you do your first backflip on a balance beam. It's got to be terrifying, surely.
Yeah. And what's this? Throwing herself
And there's the
about
floor
on the floor
routine.
This I don't understand.
I actually really like the floor routine, so don't knock it. Don't knock it.
You can't go out of the corner, that's the thing. You've got to
Yeah.
stay within the square.
This is where they do all the tumbles. Look, whoa!
Look at this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how bouncy the floor is.
I'm going to
Must be a
say
little bit bouncy.
Not very bouncy.
Not very bouncy, a little soft, but
all
not
in the
bouncy.
knees.
It's all in the knees.
I know that much. Can we look at something really riveting?
Now, listen, you're knocking out Erling Haaland. I like this.
Oh, I do think... I mean, God love him. He's a very good footballer.
What?
But these videos are lacking in...
Do you think so?
Entertainment.
What do you think, Stephen?
I think it's quite interesting to see...
He made a black coffee in the last one.
No,
he did.
It had raw milk in it.
But he was telling you how healthy it is. Shall we see him cooking?
Oh,
Let's
yes.
see Erling Haaland's. This new documentary which is out, and it is riveting. Don't listen, it's riveting. It's half an hour long, it's on YouTube, and this is Erling Haaland now making his breakfast with tips for all of us.
Just doing the simplest way of cooking eggs. Simple breakfast, little bit pepper. With food I like to take my time. Now it's too cold to eat outside, but one of my favorite things in the summer is to eat outside. So I can't do that, but no, just sit there, nothing special. Perfect. No one can do it better than this.
Fried eggs
my
and a
mouth's
slice of
watering.
bread.
Yeah, I know, but
nothing wrong with that.
With the right seasoning, of course.
The right seasoning.
And you know what? You may knock him, but a lot of top footballers, they have chefs come in and do it all for them. They don't do it all for them. Cooks
You know
all his
what?
own food.
Yeah, that's a great
Does
point.
a little bit of this.
I think it's quite nice. It's just the weird sort of music in the background I don't understand.
Yeah, it's very Megan, isn't it?
It's like an episode of Midnight Caller.
Actually, you know what? I think that was the music. He was like Jack Killian, wasn't he?
Well
Jack Killian.
remembered, yeah.
Night America, wherever you are.
Used to
Erling Haaland.
Used to love that show.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So would you like another clip in the next hour?
Yeah.
Of more
Is there
Erling?
more to come?
Because he's
Oh, wow.
winning you over, isn't he?
What does he do next?
It'll be bedtime next,
Who
won't
knows?
it?
We'll have to see.
All right. I'll stay tuned for that one.
Well, if you don't want to wait for anything that exciting, we'll tell you about the Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy and how he makes his eggs in the morning, but he's also defended the government's one-in, one-out policy with France. We'll bring you that and more stories in the papers with Mike Parry and Lewis Oakley.
Morning, you two. Chat to you in just a second. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the cold weather expected this weekend in the UK, you'll find some sunshine in Italy, but plenty of blustery showers about as well. And some fairly wet weather pushing through parts of Portugal, particularly to the north of Lisbon, into much of Spain, especially to the north. And France will be particularly wet with thundery rain in places. Italy, a few showers, but gusty wind as well. plenty of fine weather for Greece, and it stays that way through the weekend and early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
We do have problems in the UK at the moment, but I will say I don't think it's all doom and gloom. We have great safety nets here, strict protections to protect and help children. We have free education ranking 4th in the world for universities as well. Free NHS, dodgy as it may be sometimes. And we also have a lot of culture, history and green spaces, which I think is really important. 74% of children said that they can walk to a park or green space near them. So I don't think it's all that bad, but I do think we have lost our sense of community, and that's something that we need to work on.
Why do you think it is that so many fewer people are having children now? I mean, the birthing, the sort of fertility crisis that this country has entered into, to be fair, matching basically all of the developed world, fewer and fewer people are having children.
I don't think it's just about the money. I think there's actually a huge social media rise of child-free influencers. I don't know if you've seen any of these, but they're just very anti-children.
They call them dinks. Have you heard of dinks? Double income, no kids.
Oh, yeah. It's very interesting. And I think it's, you know, we look at somewhere like Somalia, where they have around average 5 children per family. They have virtually no benefit system, no pension system. Their children are their pension. And so I think in the UK, maybe we have too many options. People, I'm not saying it's all avocado on toast, but I think people are just really not seeing it as a popular option.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Let's have a look at the papers. We're in the company of Mike Parry and Lewis Oakley. Morning, you two.
Good morning. Indeed.
Mike.
Yes.
Royal Lodge, fit for the Queen.
Yeah, well, this is a great story because obviously it's been very topical for the last week. You know, how long can Andrew live there? And our own Andrew Pearce got very excited last night, didn't he? Because he was expecting an announcement on something about the Royal Lodge, you know, imminent, because he's very well connected politically. But the story this morning is that friends of Andrew have leaked that they think Prince Andrew, as he is now, not the Duke of York anymore, of course, believes that the King wants to throw him out of Royal Lodge, this 30-room mansion in Great Windsor Park, in case, bearing in mind the King is being treated for cancer, in case the King predeceases the Queen, and then the Queen will need her own mansion. She will need her own home, in much the same way as the Queen Mother, if you remember, when she became a widow, had to be found a spare home because they're kind of an accessory to the royal family. Yeah. And that, to me, sounds like a credible theory.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. I mean, now, first of all, I am not defending Andrew at any point in this, obviously, but you know, morally, you can't just kick someone out of their house because you want to.
Why not?
Because you...
No, in this case, why not? Because his behaviour has been so appalling.
I agree.
And we have to indicate that we disapprove of it.
That's true, but if my landlord said to me, I don't approve of your behaviour, get out, I could sue them.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful here. The way it sounds like they'd be able to get him out, I think we were talking about this before, is that he's got to do the upkeep. So you can get him there, but you can't just kick someone out of their house. That doesn't mean I like him. I don't. But you can't just kick him out.
If you're talking about the future of the royal family, the oldest and most established family in the whole of the world, in my view, I think you've got to take very serious steps to protect the reputation of that family. I would have him kicked out tomorrow. I would have him exiled. In fact, I
don't disagree, but on what legal grounds?
No legal grounds. The king owns the building. The king owns the estate, Great Windsor Park. He's got every right to... I know you'll say...
It doesn't sound like he can, though.
No, I know what you're saying. You're saying the lawyers will come and say, hang on, he's got a lease until 2078 or something like that. They can't kick him out. Well, I'm sorry. Go to Parliament, invent a new rule and have him removed.
Do you really want to waste Parliament's time with this?
I do, because I want to get rid of
It sounds like I'm defending
Andrew.
I'm really not. I'm just saying, you know, legally looking at the paperwork, what are you going to do? The other thing I would say about this is the Queen, at 78 years old, going to a 30-room property. When I was 78 years old, I would not want to go.
How many staff do you think she'll have?
30-room property. Are you insane?
Yeah, but
not doing that cleaning.
No, it'll be like Downton. She'll have, you know, staff and people and all that kind of stuff. No,
At 78, I want to be downsizing, not taking on a 30-room
You're
property.
not the Queen, though, are you?
Exactly.
She wouldn't have to take it on. She'll just be looked after in there.
Exactly.
She just needs somewhere to live.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. And some of the reports in the papers actually suggesting that the King wants Prince Andrew to move to Scotland.
Well, do you know how big Balmoral is, the estate?
Huge.
It is 6 miles long and 5 miles wide. That is massive. I mean, that's a small town, right? And there are buildings littered throughout that estate of 20,000 acres. I think that's where he should end up, as a hermit in a little cottage somewhere in the middle of Scotland, and nobody ever sees him again.
It's not a little cottage, though, is it? They're giving him a castle, so he's probably going to get more space.
Yeah. Lewis, in the Telegraph this morning, David Lammy is saying, well, look how marvellous our one-in, one-out, shake all about policy is with France.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Sometimes it pains you to even talk about this policy because it doesn't
ridiculous.
It doesn't do what the British public, or at least a significant amount of the British public, want it to do. The issue is that people say there are, you know, the immigration figures are too high. That's the thing. One in, one out doesn't actually change the numbers. So the fact that we spend all this time debating, oh well, is it working? Is it not? It's like, well, it doesn't really matter because even if it worked perfectly, it's still not actually addressing the bigger problem. And the fact that he's saying, oh well, actually, it's, you know, it is working perfectly, even though this guy came back. I mean, questions there. If we paid this person £2,000 to go, does he get another £2,000?
No, he didn't get 2,000, this guy. He didn't voluntarily go. He was removed. But look, I mean...
We've only sent 42.
Exactly. Now, for David Lammy to be taken seriously as a politician and say, oh, it's working, when the rest of the world has now branded it the okey-cokey policy in Britain. You put one in, one out, one back in. It's ludicrous. Shake it all about. That's absolutely right. And clearly, the French, again, because Macron hates us because we left the European Union, he hates us for Brexit, but Macron is laughing at us and so is the rest of the world.
All right, Mike, Lewis, thank you very much.
OK, let's get the check on the weather for you with Aidan McGivern.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Some bright spells around today, but also plenty of blustery showers and even some longer spells of rain, all accompanied by a cold wind coming from the north. And that wind particularly strong towards the northeast of the UK as low pressure pulls away, but continues to extend a band of wet weather into eastern Scotland and the northeast of England. And we'll see coastal gales around exposed northeastern parts, but elsewhere it's just a blustery day with further showers showers, some heavy downpours for the southwest in particular, even the odd rumble of thunder. Away from the showers, some sunshine. However, it is going to feel cold in the wind with temperatures a few degrees down compared with average for the time of year. Now, the rain across northeast Scotland pushes into southern parts during the evening and northern England later on, with further showers following for the north and northwest of Scotland. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of showers, but also some bright spells in between. 11 degrees at 6 p.m. And for much of England and Wales, we keep the showers going well into the evening, but there will be some clear spells, particularly through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. Here's that band of rain sinking south into the Midlands during the evening and then East Anglia by midnight, but eventually it pulls away into the North Sea, and that means that for many of us, we'll see clear spells overnight. Enough of a breeze to prevent a widespread frost, but it will be a chilly start in places on Saturday, with temperatures dipping to the mid-single figures, even some places seeing the low single figures. So, yeah, pretty fresh out there first thing this weekend, but plenty of bright weather. It will still feel cold in the wind coming from the north, and that wind will bring some wintry showers to northern Scotland, snow falling over the hills of northern Scotland, but no disruption likely from that. Rain showers elsewhere, but plenty of sunny spells in between the downpours, particularly in central eastern parts, continuing though to feel very cold.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Significant congestion is affecting the A470 southbound from Nantgarv to Corriton. In Shropshire, all lanes of the A49 northbound are closed due to a load spillage between the junctions with the A456 and the A4117, with normal traffic conditions expected to resume by 10:30 this morning. On the trains, no services are running between Birkenhead Hamilton Square and Ellesmere Port or Chester on Merseyrail lines. Additionally, Northern is replacing trains with buses between Corkicle and Whitehaven. Stay updated for more travel disruptions through gbnews.com, as conditions may vary.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GB News exists to make sure those concerns are put forward and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends. Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at.
Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good morning. A historic defeat for Labour in the Caerphilly by-election.
Plaid Cymru's Lindsay Whittle wins the Senedd seat for the first time.
Listen now, Cardiff, and listen, Westminster. This is Caerphilly and Wales telling you we want a better deal for every corner of Wales. This means everything to me and the people of Caerphilly constituency. You mean everything to me.
Well, Reform UK's Leah Powell came second.
I'm grateful to every voter that came to the ballot box and voted for reform, despite the fear and attacks that have been put against them by the other parties.
But with fewer than 4,000 seats between Plaid Cymru and Reform UK, could this be a sign of what's to come in next year's Senedd election?
It really could, Ellie. Disaster for Labour, disappointment for Reform, but Labour and the Tories, they're nowhere. What's it mean for next May's Senedd elections?
Also this morning, the grooming gang inquiry hits another roadblock as the Home Office admits it could take months to find a new chairman after the two front-runners quit.
Breaking news this morning, retail figures rose 0.5% unexpectedly last month.
After small boat arrivals surpassed last year's total 2 months early, there are reports the Home Office wants to sign one-in, one-out deals with Germany and the Netherlands.
History is made as the King prays alongside the Pope, ushering in a new era of Christian faith after 500 years of division.
And Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman announced they're leaving Strictly Come Dancing.
Hi, it's Claude and Tess. There have been some rumblings and we want you to hear this from us.
Yeah, we have news. After 21 wonderfully joyful years on Strictly, we have decided that the time is right to step aside and pass over the baton.
And football in Europe last night, it was the case of the good, the bad and the ugly. The good, Nottingham Forest get their new manager bounce. And they finally win a game, this time against Porto, as Celtic beat Sturm Graz. The bad, Europa League favourites Aston Villa lose to the 12th best team in Holland. And in Norway, we have a team. Who lost in Norway? Who was it that lost in Norway? It was Rangers.
Oh, yes.
Lost in Norway. And also, the ugly, the 5th best team in Cyprus, beat Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park and Aberdeen lose 6-0. It's a lot for me to remember.
Pressure pulls away. We're going to see colder winds arrive from the north with a mix of sunny spells and showers. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
Just gone 8 o'clock, I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast. Should we get straight into the politics?
I think we better because there's actually a lot of politics about today, as you will be aware. So let's talk to Deputy Chairman for the Conservatives, Matt Vickers, who joins us now. Nice to see you. Before we get into some of the other issues, can we talk about the by-election in Caerphilly? Because I'm intrigued by what you make of all of this. A collapse of the Labour vote, the Conservative vote doesn't exist there, really, as you know, probably lost your deposit. Reform doing very well. But what I'm intrigued by is if Reform is perceived as being, by many people at least, as being to the right of the Conservative Party, why is Reform doing so well in a place the Conservatives cannot get going at all?
So, of course, this seat has been held by Labour for 100 years. This is Labour heartlands. You know, there was no smart money going on the Conservatives this time. But, I mean, the overwhelming message of this is a complete, resounding hit on Labour. People are completely miffed with what they've seen during the last year, whether it's letting down the pensioners, letting down the farmers, the damage they're doing to our economy, 17% more people out of work, businesses closing at the fastest rate since the world economic crash. This message, by-elections are often an opportunity for people to send a message, and boy, have they sent a message today. They've told Labour no more, they're disappointed, they're not having it anymore. They've sent that message and they've looked at other options to send it. And today, the victory is obviously Plied's.
Can I ask you about the resident doctors' strike? The BMA announced yesterday that resident doctors are going on strike next month for 5 days over pay and jobs. And we've been debating this morning on the programme, Mr Vickers. Do you think that doctors should be allowed to strike, or should it be like the police and armed forces where they're not allowed to withdraw their labour?
So we put two things forward on this. Firstly, we think we should ban people like this from striking. There's real consequences for people's lives and people's health. You've seen the impact on waiting lists. We've seen what that means to people who are ill or unwell. And Kemi's been very upfront. She said we should be banning this. It should not be allowed. The reality is, I mean, that's what we do with the armed forces. That's what we do with the police. But the reality is Labour came into office, started doling out lots of money to their union chums. And what happens if people see other people getting lots of money? They think they can strike and get lots of extra money too. So yeah, it was always going to be the case. Labour promised to end these strikes and they've done entirely the opposite.
So, but how then do people with legitimate concerns make their voices heard if the strike option isn't available to them?
Well, we said first and foremost, we brought in minimum service legislation that required unions to organise themselves in a way that meant people could still get access to services. That was the first thing that we put forward. Labour scrapped that now. Those minimum service level agreements are not in place. There is no onus on these unions to do that, to keep vital public sector services going. And the health service, yes, we should ban them. We do not want, we prevent police officers from striking because we know that has real-world consequences on crime and security on our streets. We do the same with the armed forces because they have a role in protecting us, and we need to do the same with doctors. These strikes are out of order. It cannot go on like this. People lose their lives when strikes like this take place.
Can I ask you about the grooming gangs inquiry and the chaos surrounding that? We now know that a fifth grooming gangs survivor has quit as an advisor to the panel. She's saying she's overwhelmed by the political storm around the process. And this comes as the Home Office has admitted that it could take months now to find a chairman for the inquiry, as the two frontrunners have also pulled out of the process. What's your reaction to what we're seeing here?
Our priority in the entire thing has to be those victims who've been let down time and time again, let down by social services, let down by councils, let down by the police, and now majorly let down by the government. This isn't one victim walking away from this process because they think it's appalling and shambolic. You know, there are people saying this is a conspiracy. It's ridiculous. It's a cover-up, is what one victim has said. The reality is there is no timeline, there is no chairman, and there is no confidence amongst victims. This is an absolute disaster, and this should be a priority for the government. We need to put these girls first. We need to find that justice. We need to make sure that they get the answers, that prosecutions are put in place for anybody who inflicted this or turned a blind eye, and we need to ensure that this can never happen on the streets of Britain again.
But therefore, you need to make sure that look, it's a political open goal. In a sense, for the Conservatives and any opposition party. You've got to be careful not to over-politicise it. haven't you? Even on things like Jess Phillips. I mean, I know at least 4 of these girls have left saying, we'll come back if Jess Phillips is removed as safeguarding minister and is no longer involved in this. But another 5 girls who are still there have said, we will leave if you remove Jess Phillips. So it does start to become quite complicated, and you can see how, you know, kicking the political football through this one isn't going to help those survivors.
No, I think there was a real role for politicians and a real role for the Conservative Party, actually, in delivering that scrutiny. That lot in there did not want this inquiry. They opposed it. They said it wasn't necessary. They're happy for councils to mark their own homework. We dragged them kicking and screaming into having this national inquiry, and now it's a sham. The reality is Labour MPs in there voted against the national inquiry 3 times. They then agreed to an inquiry and are making an absolute shambles of it. These people need answers, these victims need justice, and the people responsible for these atrocious crimes need holding to account. And we need to do our part in holding the government to account on this, delivering the scrutiny and getting the action that these young girls need.
Can I ask you about the hokey-cokey man, as it's been dubbed in some of the papers this week? It's a man who came to Britain, who was returned back as part of this one-in-one-out deal to France. He then came back again on a small boat to Britain, all within about a month, I think. He's been detained, and the idea is that he would be removed to France yet again. In fact, the Prime Minister vowed that the UK would remove him very, very swiftly. What's your response to this deal, and also what's your response to the government looking at other one-in-one-out deals with Germany and the Netherlands?
The boomerang scheme. I mean, we shouldn't be calling it the one-in-one-out scheme, because actually it was 17 or 18 people come in and one goes back, who then comes again the next day. This isn't a surprise to anybody. Nobody is surprised that this chap's turned up back here. And the suggestion that there is a payment involved, you know, I mean, people rock up in the country, get a bit of cash, get flown back, come again, get a bit of cash. It's a disaster. We knew it was a disaster from the start. The only way to solve this problem is with a real deterrent. People need to know that if they get on those boats, they will not be allowed to stay in this country. That's what the Rwanda scheme was about. To be honest, we don't care whether it's Rwanda or wherever. People need to be sent back home, and if we can't send them home, they need to be sent to that third country. If we do not do that, these people will continue to come, as we're seeing, in ever-increasing numbers under Labour. There's no surprises, though. This is a guy, the Prime Minister of this country, now in office, is a guy who opposed the deportation of foreign criminals, who's voted against everything that was brought forward to toughen up our immigration system. He said that immigration law was racist in nature. There's no surprises that Starmer's in office and our borders are absolutely shot. The taxpayers picking up the tab. It is a disaster.
Well, talking about the tab that we've all picked up, I mean, if you want to win back the trust and credibility of the British public when it comes to this issue and anything else that they run up to local elections next year and a general election whenever that happens, is it time to hold up your hands as a former Conservative government and say all these millions upon millions of pounds which we've given to France, which was instigated by the Tories, hasn't worked? I mean, it's a laughingstock, isn't it? We've paid France, I don't know how many tens of millions of pounds.
700 million.
And they're not doing anything.
So Kemi's conceded. The last government made mistakes. Immigration was too high. Things were not done that should have been done. But the reality is actually, towards the end of that Parliament, we were seeing the number of people in hotels coming down. It had halved. If we'd carried on in that ilk, there would be no hotels anymore. We've seen increases in the number of people being returned. Actually, since this government have come to office, the number of people has increased hugely. The number of people in hotels was going down, is now going back up. And the number of people who've arrived here illegally and been removed is actually down. It's a disaster. The dashboard is flashing red. We need a deterrent. We need to tell people that before they get in those boats, they should know they will not be allowed to stay. That is the only way you stop this. These people cannot be allowed to stay in this country if they break in illegally.
OK, Matt Vickers, we're out of time with you, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for joining us this morning on Breakfast.
Yeah, interesting,
Very.
Isn't it? I mean, I do think there is a need for the Tories to continually hold their hands up when it comes to these issues and say, yeah, we got it wrong.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why would you believe them? Again, is how you're going to sort it out in the future.
Yeah. Rebuilding trust is a challenge, isn't it? But also, people want to see momentum behind the Tories. They're just saying, enough looking back now. Let's see what you're about. What do you stand for now?
Well, Matt Vickers trying to give the Labour government a kicking. One place they have had a real kicking is in Caerphilly, where that by-election took place for the Senedd. Our political editor, Christopher Hope, is there for us. I mean, they haven't just lost the seat, Chris, have they? They've been absolutely annihilated.
Well, they really have, Steve. I mean, a complete disaster for the Labour Party last night. They collapsed their vote down to 11%. From much higher than that. They've held this seat here in Caerphilly for well over a century. Reform UK doing well at 36%, but Plaid Cymru winning with 47%. What that means, maybe there could be a progressive alliance of voters lining up to stop Reform winning this seat. Anecdotally, Plaid sources said there was some upset that Reform could win this seat, given it's been held by Labour for so long. But look where those two main parties are now. Labour and the Tory party down to 13% in this by-election, barely a third of Reform and nowhere near a third of what Plaid got. We're looking at these two parties, I think, Plaid and Reform, battling it out in May's elections next year. A real chance here for Reform to be the biggest party, but maybe not win power, because it's likely that Plaid would form some form of alliance with Labour to keep Reform out. But really, really difficult night, I think. A real blow at both ends of the M4 for the Labour Party. They've got a problem in Cardiff and a problem, of course, back in London, where the concern about the grooming gangs inquiry has not gone away. For my podcast, I spoke to Natalie Fleet, the MP for Bolsover. She is a supporter of Jess Phillips, and of course right now her future's in the balance with four or so victims of grooming gangs saying that she should resign as safeguarding minister, but equally the same number saying she should stay. So her future in the balance this weekend. And here's what Natalie Fleet told me on Chopper's political podcast.
We have got a safeguarding minister who's been campaigning on laws like mine for years, who has made sure that we've got people like me in Parliament. She cares deeply. She will not let there be a stitch-up. She will make sure there's a proper inquiry with a proper chair. She will never, ever let us have cheap political fixers. So get a chair in quickly. She wants it to be the right chair. She wants it to be the person that's going to actually do the work. She wants victims to be listened to. She's so determined for it not to be a cover-up or a stitch-up that she's made sure that she isn't having anything to do with it. And this is all an independent external charity.
Sure,
You've then got...
That is who she is. She is
yes,
the person.
She
I don't know why that's not cutting through with me.
Because I'll tell you why. The second part, we don't trust people. If people come and knock on my door, I don't answer. My husband does.
Victims, you mean?
Yeah. I think that if you've got into a position where you're groomed in the first place, things have probably been quite tricky. I've got a history of homelessness and domestic violence, things that I don't have to talk about because other people do, thank God. I only talk about rape because nobody else is doing. Life has been quite tough, and I've been taught not to trust the police, not to trust people that I can remember my next door neighbour said to me, I'm not going to Shore Star. It's full of social workers that want to take my kids off me. So they have been let down for so long. And then this is what really, really gets to me. The last government, Kemi Badenoch was Women and Equalities Minister. She never mentioned grooming. Now it's advantageous to her. She's using victims to have a go at the government. When she had the power to help us, she didn't. She left us. She was another one of the long list of people that let us down. Now she's using us again. So I see these victims that don't trust government, police, the establishment. And we are part of that. So I'd like them, I know that Jess has reached out to them, I'd like them to get to a place where they can trust Jess and see that she's doing the right things for the right reasons, because she won't let there be a cover-up. And I'd like them to have faith in an independent inquiry.
All right, Christopher, thank you very much indeed. And don't forget, you can watch all of that on Chopper's Political Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from.
Now, a government source says it could take months to find a chair for the National Grooming Gangs inquiry.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's all turning into a complete mess, this, isn't it? Whichever way you look at it, you know, it's going to get months to get a chair. What is going to happen with Jess Phillips? You know, we've got victims leaving, other victims saying they would leave if Jess Phillips went. I mean, honestly... With all of this, Charlie Peters is here, our national reporter, who can make sense of it all. hopefully, Charlie?
I'm trying my hardest at the moment because it is definitely a constantly shifting issue at the moment. I think for a lot of the survivors, and this is something Jess Phillips has said in the Commons, not everyone wants to be in the media or talking about this publicly, and a lot of survivors who do reach out to GB News, anonymously, but sharing their guidance and what they think is going on. A lot of them now are especially concerned about this issue being even more politicised than it was already. This is always going to be a political issue because of the fact that so many councils and politicians have been involved in the cover-up and the failure to get involved with tackling this problem. So for politicians to say it shouldn't be ever a part of the debate, I think is crazy language, really, when we know that so many survivors do see this as an issue where politicians have failed and they need to be held to account. But at the same time, the level of mudslinging now and some of the tone that we've seen in Parliament from both sides, that's what I've heard as being concerning, even from some of the more combative, shall we say, victims and survivors who do want people held to account in the political sphere. But at the moment, there's fresh concerns for the government, as you were saying, because of the fact that they're now saying it could take months for them to find a new chair. At the start of September, Safeguarding Minister said we were in the final stages of appointing a chair. But the two candidates they put forward, Annie Hudson and Jim Gamble, they were rejected by some survivors. There were many positive things said about Jim Gamble when he did conduct his interview. Annie Hudson pulled out before she even got to that stage, and the survivors were asked to submit their questions in advance. Another thing that's been criticised quite widely from them because, of course, that's a bit of stage management, it lacks transparency, a bit of screening from the Home Office and the charity running those panels as well. So it could take months. The government isn't now denying that a judge could be involved, even though the Prime Minister said on Wednesday that Baroness Katie didn't want that and therefore the government didn't want a judge to chair this inquiry. But they're clearly struggling to find candidates who want to engage. There was also some reporting yesterday about a letter being sent to the Home Secretary saying, we stand with Jess Phillips. If she goes, then we'll also leave the panel. 5 victims on that letter, although the lady fronting it herself admits that she is not a grooming gang victim. So that adds to further questions of how was this panel gathered? If it's the government is saying the terms of reference aren't going to be expanded, it's going to be specifically about grooming gangs. A lot of survivors, and I think wider campaign is asking, is there an issue there of people involved in setting the terms of reference not being from this specific form of abuse? The government deny that they're going to widen the scope, but they do. And they are taking guidance from those who want it to widen the scope. And at the same time, we know, because we revealed it earlier this week and we saw this letter in September, they were asked on the panel, do you want the scope widened? A lot of battles for them to deal with on that front, especially as Jess Phillips said that those reports were untrue and misinformation. A sort of personal attack that many survivors felt was them being described as liars. It's going to take so much trust, so much effort, to win back the trust of those women. I think that tone, that language is going to make it difficult. And just final thing, the police watchdog, His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary, has released a report today saying that there are still concerns in how data collection is processed, that there's still a problem with the definition of group-based child sexual exploitation, e.g. grooming gangs, that's the clinical term that we use for it. And I think that points to some of the problems that we're having at the moment in government. They're not really sure what they're meant to be investigating. If you can't define a problem, and it seems that the police, the Home Office, the Department for Education don't really have a grasp of what this issue is, then how are you going to launch an inquiry on it?
Oh, Charlie.
What a mess. Thank you, Charlie.
It is a mess. You just think they need a big dose of common sense on this one.
I know.
But that seems to be lacking a little bit at the moment. Anyway, we'll bring you more on that, of course, as everything progresses. We're right across that story. In the meantime, so let's have a look at the weather for you with Aidan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Some bright spells around today, but also plenty of blustery showers and even some longer spells of rain, all accompanied by a cold wind coming from the north. And that wind particularly strong towards the northeast of the UK as low pressure pulls away, but continues to extend a band of wet weather into eastern Scotland and the northeast of England. And we'll see coastal gales around exposed northeastern parts, but elsewhere it's just a blustery day with further showers, some heavy downpours for the southwest in particular, even the odd rumble of thunder. Away from the showers, some sunshine. However, it is going to feel cold in the wind with temperatures a few degrees down compared with average for the time of year. Now, the rain across northeast Scotland pushes into southern parts during the evening and northern England later on, with further showers following for the north and northwest of Scotland. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of showers, but also some bright spells in between. 11 degrees at 6 p.m. And for much of England and Wales, we keep the showers going well into the evening, but there will be some clear spells, particularly through the Midlands, East Anglia and the south east. Here's that band of rain sinking south into the Midlands during the evening and then East Anglia by midnight, but eventually it pulls away into the North Sea, and that means that for many of us we'll see clear spells overnight. Enough of a breeze to prevent a widespread frost, but it will be a chilly start in places on Saturday with temperatures dipping to the mid-single figures, even some places seeing the low single figures. So, yeah, pretty fresh out there first thing this weekend, but plenty of bright weather. It will still feel cold in the wind coming from the north, and that wind will bring some wintry showers to northern Scotland, snow falling over the hills of northern Scotland, but no disruption likely from that. Rain showers elsewhere, but plenty of sunny spells in between the downpours, particularly in central eastern parts, continuing though to feel very cold.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do you stay with us? Still to come.
Hi, it's Claude and Tess. There have been some rumblings and we want you to hear this from us.
Yeah, we have news. After 21 wonderfully joyful years on Strictly, we have decided that the time is right to step aside and pass over the baton.
How'd you get your hair that shiny?
That's just what I was thinking. I'd like to know.
Yeah, I need to have a word with Claudia. Anyway, they're off. They're leaving Strictly. Anyway, we're going to discuss that with a former Strictly pro next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Dramatic scenes in a North London street as police move in to arrest members of an organised crime gang. Inside their vehicle, evidence of a multi-million-pound trade in phone theft. A large number of stolen smartphones are discovered, all wrapped in tinfoil to block any phone signal and prevent their owners tracing them. After a year-long investigation, Scotland Yard says it has now dismantled the criminal operation that they believe is responsible for smuggling more than 40,000 stolen smartphones over to China. Officers have now recovered thousands of stolen smartphones as their investigation continues. Many of the handsets stolen in street robberies end up in shops like this. Officers recovered multiple stolen phones and arrested 2 men on suspicion of money laundering after finding £40,000 in cash.
So my warning to people that are involved in this criminal enterprise, whether it be shop workers, the shopkeepers, or even the faceless enterprise businessmen who own multiple different venues, is that you may have felt like you were acting with impunity and that we weren't coming after you and we couldn't come after you, and that actually the crime pays. So if eventually we do come, then that's just a business loss. Is that we are coming after you, we are going to come and conduct warrants, not just on your business premises, but we will target you at home, we'll target you in your cars. Nowhere is safe to conduct criminal enterprise.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
I've just dropped my poppy. Let
Oh
me
no, has it popped off?
Yeah.
These paper ones, they don't stick on the same.
I know, I need one of... You've got both, haven't you? Or no, you don't?
No.
Anyway,
we'll sort it out.
I can sort this out.
You sort that out, and I'll tell you that you've down to your last week if you fancy our biggest ever prize in the Great British Giveaway. It's that brand new motorhome worth 74 grand and 30 grand in tax-free cash. Here's how you enter.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Someone is guaranteed to win our biggest prize to date, so make sure that winner could be you. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, it was big news yesterday, wasn't it? Strictly Come Dancing hosts Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman announced that they are leaving the show.
Yeah, they revealed their decision on an Instagram post. This is what they had to say.
Have news. After 21 wonderfully joyful years on Strictly, we have decided that the time is right to step aside and pass over the baton.
Well, their shock departure comes after a string of scandals for the show, which has seen its viewing figures plummet over recent years, leading us to ask the question this morning, is it time to drop the curtains on Strictly Come Dancing after this latest blow?
Who better to ask than former Strictly professional Christina Rianoff? Good to see you this morning, Christina. I mean, what do you think? Is its time coming to an end?
I think it's very sad for the show to lose those wonderful two ladies. I must say, in my 8 years on Strictly, it was always wonderful to have them around. And I feel like the golden era of Strictly was kind of over when we've lost Brucey and Len. There was always a lot of comfort being with Claudia upstairs. You know, she was ever so sweet. Always very supportive, as well as Tess. So from my personal perspective, as a dancer on the show, you always felt really good around them. You know, they weren't judgmental, they weren't judges, you know, they were just kind of comforting. And, you know, I really loved having them around. I think they're doing the right thing. I think it is time perhaps to do things differently. I think, you know, unfortunately, the show, I felt now more popular for the scandals than the actual show, what it meant to be. When I joined back in 2008 and my dance partner was John Sargent, it was kind of all about that amazing show that sort of gave people platform to perhaps renew and boost their careers. And now it's all about the scandals and it's all about, you know, all this kind of the wrongdoings and stuff like that. I think they need to take a leaf out of Dancing with the Stars kind of producer's book and kind of maybe go away for a season, because that's exactly what they have done. They've missed one season. They kind of reshuffled the show, came back with a better voting system, the better set. You know, we've seen it for so long. long. I think even if you love something, for a very long time, like any kind of show in a format, you just want some kind of little change, maybe something more exciting for people to tune in and see. And I think that's exactly what needs to be done. I don't think it's going to do any harm. I think it's just going to get a bit of a boost. People will look forward what actually going to happen, but it has to be a really good and clever kind of change around, not just for sake of changing, but actually really think how we can rejuggle that whole thing. But I wish the Tess and Claudia all the best. They're an amazing duo, and I'm sure they have some other things in mind from now on.
Yes, I'm sure they do. But of course, there is going to be a change now in the presenting lineup. And in terms of what you're talking about there, saying it needs a refresh, it needs a reboot, it does need to see change. Who do you think should replace them, if you thought about that at all? I mean, the favourites in the papers today are saying Zoe Ball. Do you think that would be enough of a change for you?
I do, but I think Zoe needs to present with Ian Waite, and he's one of the people who originally was casted for Strictly and very much loved by the core Strictly audience for so many years. They've presented It Takes Two together. I think they have a lovely chemistry. They dance together as well, and I think Ian is a wonderful kind of personality. He's very charming. He's obviously very knowledgeable in ballroom dancing. He is an ex-professional, and I think it's definitely, for me personally, I think that's a really lovely duo, for the show.
Oh, well, we shall wait and see. But I think probably a year off is not a bad idea, Christine.
Yeah.
I hope they're listening to you. Really good to talk to you.
Opinion, but, I was asked, and here we are.
Yeah, right.
We appreciate you sharing your opinion. Thank you very much,
do.
Christina. Thanks for joining us.
I do. I think a year off's a very sensible thing. It gives people a chance to look forward to it again.
Yes.
And to, to have that bit of a break.
Have a reboot.
Yeah, a bit of a reboot.
And Dancing with the Stars, not that I watch it, but that's the American version of Strictly Come Dancing. I see it all over social media. So it's obviously doing really well for having that break. And they've got really good guests? Celebrities on this year. So there you go. Maybe they could take a leaf out of their book. Let us know what you think.
Right, if you're heading to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A92 southbound at Chapel Junction is restricted due to a collision. Expect delays on the M4 eastbound at junction 33 due to congestion. The M181 northbound has a broken down vehicle between junctions with the M180 and A18, closing one lane but expected to reopen soon. Cheshire West and Chester's M6 northbound has a broken down vehicle affecting one lane between junctions 18 and 19. The M25 clockwise in Buckinghamshire faces a collision between junctions 16 and 17. All lanes are closed on the A49 in Shropshire due to a load spillage. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Now do stay with us. Still to come, Reform UK's chairman, Dr David Bull, joins us to discuss Reform's narrow miss at last night's Caerphilly by-election. We're going to be talking to him next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
8:39 morning to you. Right, the Caerphilly by-election. Quite a night for a whole host of reasons. Labour absolutely wiped out. Plaid Cymru did very, very well, but only 4,000 votes behind were Reform, who came from nowhere 4 years ago, about 2%, I think, to be on about 36% last night, as it turned out. Let's talk to the Reform Party chairman, David Bull, who joins us now. David, good to see you. Is this a bit of a...
Very good morning.
Is it a bit of a bittersweet moment for Reform?
Yeah, I mean, look, of course it's a bit disappointing, but also when you look at this pragmatically, it's an extraordinary result. As you rightly say, 4 years ago we were polling at 1.7%. Last night, this morning, we got 36%. That's a meteoric rise. Actually, I think it's pretty unparalleled in modern British political history. It's an extraordinary result for us, and also it's worth remembering this is a Labour stronghold, or traditionally and tribally a Labour stronghold. They've held power here for 100 years. That is over. The two-party politics absolutely destroyed. Labour going down to 11%. The Tories really wiped out completely to 2%. They might as well pick up the ball and go home. But this is kind of what I'm seeing around the country. I'm doing a chairman's tour at the moment. I've seen 5,000 people over the last 4 months. 2 days ago, I was in Liverpool. Now, again, Liverpool, very, very Labour. They polled at 84%, but actually, that was in 2017. Now, they're down to 42%. Since Keir Starmer came to power, they've dropped by another 20%. So what we're seeing across the UK, in Wales, in Scotland, and in England as well, is people saying, I've had enough of the two-party politics. The country's in a terrible state. We need something different. Now, Wales is slightly different, so it was a two-horse race between Plaid and with us. But actually, people tend to vote differently in a by-election as well. So come a general election, I'm really bullish about the whole thing. I'm very pleased with what we did. Of course, disappointed that we didn't win. But actually, Reform is on the ascendancy. 2 weeks ago, we were polling at 33%. We're now at 36%. Next week, we'll be up again as well. The latest polling shows that if there was a general election today, we would win 445 seats in Westminster. That would give us a staggering majority of something like 258 seats. Nothing like this has ever happened before in British political history. So we are making waves, and the turquoise tidal wave continues around the United Kingdom.
Turnout was high, wasn't it, David? Over 50%, which is high for a by-election. I mean, there are some reports overnight that there was a lot of young people voting yesterday in Caerphilly, and they were voting to try and keep Reform out. What do you say to those reports?
I mean, yeah, interesting. Of course, yes, the turnout was very high. One of the things that I think is interesting about this is there was a poll that was released, a very big poll, an MRP poll, which you will know what that is. But it positioned us, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, at 42%, with Plaid on 38%. What we saw was tactical voting, and that is the nature of cut and thrust politics. And we saw people who may be, like young people, who may well have been voting or going to vote Lib Dem, changing positions position to decide that they wanted to keep us out. Look, that's what happens in politics. Just to extrapolate, though, when people say, well, who is voting for Reform UK, half of people who voted Labour at the last election are now voting for us. 40% of our voters did not go to university. So these are people who are carpenters, plumbers, electricians, cleaners, the backbone of Britain. And when you look at the age demographic of Reform UK voters, lots of our political opponents will say, well, it's only old people that vote for Reform UK. A, that's very rude, but also it's not true. 60% of our voters are under the age of 50. So I think we are seeing a seismic political change.
Debbie, can I ask you about, because you mentioned about, if there was a general election tomorrow, you'd have a whopping great majorities, the likes of which we haven't seen before, and that's all fair enough. But there is still a level of concern amongst a lot of people who are wondering where they would put their cross on a ballot paper to say, right, I know where Reform stands on some key issues and the issues which are, top of the agenda in the UK. But what would you do about education? What would you do about, your area, health? All these huge issues where we haven't really got the meat yet on the bone as to what Reform would do if you were in government.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And so I've been chairman for 4 months. The first thing I did is I've set up policy working groups. So I brought in the best and the brightest to actually look at policy and this is the point that I make the whole time. We're building the party from the ground up, not the top down. So take my area of expertise, so health. I've brought in professors of medicine, nurses, physios, people who've run trusts, because we need people who understand health economics, what we are doing well and what we are doing badly. The NHS is not the best system in the world. It is not the envy of the world. Our cancer survival rates are 15 years behind the rest of Europe. Now, we need to keep the NHS free at the point of need. Now, the question is, how do we deliver that? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? When we come to show the manifesto for the next general election, all of these departments will have actually got full policies which are costed. They are going to Danny Kruger, who has defected to us. He is now going to be head of our department for preparing for government. So make no mistake, we are doing this carefully and in a considered manner.
And just before we let you go, because we are out of time with you really, David, but as a doctor, I just wanted to ask if you support the resident doctors' strike that's been announced for next month. And we've been debating this morning, should doctors even be allowed to strike, or should they be like the police and the armed forces who aren't allowed to withdraw their labour?
Yeah, I'm really saddened by what the resident doctors are doing. Look, they got a 22% pay rise. On top of that, they got another 5%. A militant union, the British Medical Association, is now calling for strike action to get another 28%. Now, you do the maths, that's a 55% pay uplift. Now, you tell me anyone who runs a small business in this country, or people who work really hard, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, they don't get that kind of pay rise. There's something else that we can do, and this is something I want to push forward. The way we treat junior doctors in this country is disgraceful. So I'm looking at a system where actually, if you stay within the NHS for 10 years, say, we will write off the entirety of your student debt. And whilst you will say to me, well, there's a huge cost to that, doctors are saddled with 50, 60, 70,000 pounds worth of debt when they first graduate, and that's why they need that kind of pay increment. So what we're saying is actually, we're going to look after you. We're going to make sure that you actually have hot food at night, that you actually have somewhere safe to sleep. The way we treat junior doctors is appalling, and I think we need to think about things rather differently.
All right, David, good to see you, as always. Thank you very much indeed.
Really good to see you too.
Thanks, David. Well, let us know what you think on that one, gbnews.com/you'll-say.
Yeah. Fascinating, isn't it, actually? Just see how it's all coming together ahead of the next election. It's going to be fascinating, the next general election. Anyway, we've got a while to wait yet, probably. We've got all the papers heading away in just a moment with Mike Parry and Lewis Oakley. Morning, gents.
Morning, you two. But first, for in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast across Europe.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the cold weather expected this weekend in the UK, you'll find some sunshine in Italy, but plenty of blustery showers about as well. And some fairly wet weather pushing through parts of Portugal, particularly to the north of Lisbon, into much of Spain, especially to the north. And France will be particularly wet with thundery rain in places. Italy, a few showers, but a gusty wind as well. Plenty of fine weather for Greece, and it stays that way through the weekend and early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11 only on GB News.
They've completely refigured the inside of this theatre, so the stalls have been made into sort of tiered stadium seating. It's in the round. They've built seats and a balcony at the back as well.
In the Old Vic?
In the Old Vic. Absolutely. So this is a huge amount of effort's gone into this. Yep. Susan Sarandon, 79, Oscar winner. I have to say, superb, vivid.
Thelma and Louise.
Absolutely, and I love what she was doing here. And people aren't always. This is her UK stage debut.
Extraordinary.
Completely convincing, beautiful, nuanced. It's got Andrea Riseborough, incredible actress. Eleanor Worthington-Cox, who I love, who was in Next to Normal, but won an Olivier as a kid for Matilda. So this is Mary Page Marlowe. We've got 5 actresses playing the same woman through different times in her life, backwards and forwards through time. And we have got the playwright, Tracy Letts, giving us a little insight into what he was trying to do with the play.
What are the 11 scenes you would choose to illustrate your life, to tell you who you are?
I watched some clips of people in America talking about it when it first came out, curious to see if I was missing something. And they talked about, it's a puzzle, how would you put your life in 11 scenes? And one of the people on the video mentioned it's a bit like a quilt, which always makes me groan a bit, because there's a quilt at the start of the stage. This makes me groan.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Susan Sarandon at the end, and she's great all the way through, her final sort of big moving speech is she's taken a quilt into a dry cleaner and she starts talking about it, and it's different panels, like different bits of her life, and one panel that she loves most has a woman slightly turned away, bit mysterious. Who is she, Michael? What happened in her? And I just cringed, and I've seen a lot of 3-star reviews, which for me is just polite.
The People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Time for the papers. Mike Parry and Lewis Oakley. Morning, gents.
Morning,
Mike.
Indeed.
Who is Le Snail?
Well, I call him L'Escargot, OK, you know, because you've got to go local. But his real name is Lawrence Nunez. He's the Interior Minister of France. He's a former police chief. And the reason he's known as L'Escargot, which, of course, in English, as you've already told our millions of viewers, is Le Snail, is because he is moving so slowly on the small boats issue that it's actually going backwards. And all the 800 million or whatever we've given France over the last 10 years to try and stop this problem has now come to a dead halt. The French have more or less admitted that that TV shot of the gendarmes going in and stabbing the rubber boats and making sure they will not go into Le Mur was in fact, you know, just for the cameras, publicity stunt, and it's never been repeated. So I'm afraid if we've got any thoughts whatsoever that the French are helping with the increasingly problematic issue of small boats across the Channel, the answer is No, they're not.
Nil point.
Nil point.
I think it just shows that on both sides, there's not the political will to stop this.
I agree.
I mean, it says here we've given France 467 million, and we currently have had 60,000 crossings since Labour took office. Interestingly, in the article, it was about them saying, oh, it's too dangerous for us to get involved, and it's like, but people are dying. Like, people are getting on these boats and dying. Surely that is dangerous.
But they're saying it's too dangerous for their officers to go into the water up to their knees. That's what they're talking about, the danger. It's not talking about the dangers of the people on the boats. I mean, they just don't have the will. I totally agree. They want as many people to get out of France and get to Britain as possible.
Don't want to get the trousers wet.
Yeah, absolutely, all the boots. Yeah, absolutely.
Lewis, let's have a look at this story show about the Duchess of Sussex.
Yes.
She's parted company with her 10th publicist in 5 years.
10 in 5 years. So this publicist came from the Crown, so should have known a thing or two about royal life. She's lasted 3 months.
Oh dear.
Now, here's the thing. If you're a publicist for Meghan, I think, you would probably say, look, there's nothing to be done here. Hating Meghan, whether people want to admit it or not, is big business. And you can see this online. If someone slaps a picture of Meghan on the news site or on a thumbnail on YouTube...
Well, that's why she goes on the front of fashion magazines. They sell.
And I think there's an issue here where it almost now, like, Meghan could walk down the street and you would get the headline, Meghan Markle caught walking down the street. And then the life they get out of it's like Meghan Markle, the coat she wore on that walk, and it's insult to the Queen. It's like... this is so over the top. It's so over the top. Like, I understand she's
milking it, though.
Of course she is.
She's just walking down the street and they get a body language expert to...
Hang on, Lewis, you're absolutely right, but you're saying it almost as if it happened by accident. She deliberately decided to marry into the most famous family in the world, and in my view, that was part of her tactic to make herself famous throughout the world. I will say on this, by the way, that the lady came from the Crown at Netflix, right? Yeah. And they're a very modern company where you don't shout at people, you know what I mean? They're like Meta and those people, all going to be nice to each other.
So sit on beanbags.
Yeah, exactly, sit on beanbags and eat muesli for lunch as well as breakfast, you know what I mean? But she's not into that. We know that Meghan has an explosive temper with people around her, so I think you've got to be very, very careful when you go and decide to work for the Duchess.
Well, there's no claims in this article that Meghan did anything bad to her, but I just think from a publicist's point of view, no wonder you've gone through 10, because there is nothing to change. I don't know what a publicist would actually do, because hating her gets clicks, gets money, and I'm not saying she's completely blameless. No. I am saying it's over the top.
But the expression famous for being famous absolutely fits Meghan, doesn't it? Absolutely fits her. I mean, you know, she was an actress one time in a show nobody can remember, but she's now probably the most photographed woman in the world.
Yeah, making stupid stuff on a cooking show, basically.
Yeah, now she's a lifestyle.
Hey, putting things in bags is hard work.
Makes jam.
And by the way, the bigger she gets, the more irrelevant Harry seems to get to me. You know what I mean? Where is he? What's he doing? What's his purpose in life?
But maybe that's what he wanted. He didn't want all this, so maybe he's happy to fade away into the background.
No, that's why he wants to come back. He's trying to get back now because he realises he's becoming an irrelevance, even in Meghan's life, in my view.
What if they're just actually really happy?
Do you think they are, though? I don't know.
I don't know their marriage, but I think it's just odd every time they're seen photographed. They've got body language experts saying, look, he touched her arm weird, it's all over. Like, come on.
I do just think it was in South Park, wasn't it, a few years ago, the International Privacy Tour.
Yes.
You know,
yes, that's right. Yeah, yes.
But that is just...
We demand our privacy and all that.
It's so relevant, isn't it?
It is. I mean, blimey, you know, the family and the extended family, the King, Prince Andrew, Prince Harry, my God, they must have filled 50 volumes of, you know, Encyclopedia Britannica every week over the last 5 years.
It has been a dramatic time.
Yeah.
And they're good for us. This is why I love the royal family. It makes this country so relevant.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it in the rest of the world.
This is it. I really do. When he was here recently, I think that showed him at his best.
I totally agree with you.
Charity.
I totally agree with you. And I think he also misses being part of something he thought was irrelevant. He's found it's very relevant now.
Yeah. All right, you two. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Don't go anywhere. Coming up, we're going to talk to the Cabinet Office Minister, Nick Thomas-Symonds. That's next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com.
The A92 southbound at Chapel Junction faces restrictions due to a collision. On the M4, congestion is reported eastbound at junction 33 Capel Lanilturn off-slip. In Cheshire West and Chester, a broken-down vehicle on M6 northbound between junctions 18 and 19 closes one lane. Traffic is delayed on M4 Spur southbound between junctions 4 and 4A, with 10 extra minutes expected. In Shropshire, the A49 northbound between the A456 and the A4117 is shut due to a load spillage. All lanes are closed. And on the trains, cross-country faces disruption on some routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. A historic defeat for Labour in the Caerphilly by-election.
Like Cymru's Lindsay Whittle wins the Senedd seat for the first time.
Listen now, Cardiff, and listen, Westminster. This is Caerphilly and Wales telling you we want a better deal for every corner of Wales. This means everything to me and the people of Caerphilly constituency. You mean everything to me.
Earlier we spoke to the Shadow Minister, Matt Vickers.
But, I mean, the overwhelming message of this is a complete, resounding hit on Labour. People are completely miffed with what they've seen during the last year, whether it's letting down the pensioners, letting down the farmers, the damage they're doing to our economy.
So, is this the day that Labour lost Wales?
A disaster for Labour and also for the Tory party, the Uni party, the two main parties for the past century. Where are they now? It's a straight fight between Plaid Cymru and Reform UK at May's elections next year in Wales. Are we seeing a complete realignment in British politics?
The grooming gang inquiry hits another roadblock as the Home Office admits it could take months to find a new chairman after the frontrunners quit.
And this comes as a police watchdog report says that significant challenges remain in tackling grooming gangs, including a failure to define the problem. We'll have more of that just in a moment.
After small boat arrivals surpassed 2022's total 2 months early, there's reports that the Home Office wants to sign one-in, one-out deals with Germany and the Netherlands.
And Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman announced their departure from Strictly.
Hi, it's Claude and Tess. There have been some rumblings and we want you to hear this from us.
Yeah, we have news.
After 21 wonderfully joyful years on Strictly, we have decided that the time is right to step aside and pass over the baton.
Hull has been named one of the top tourist destinations in Britain. We're going to be speaking to the locals about why the city is having such a moment.
Yes, Hull's up on the list with the likes of Quebec in Canada and Beijing in China. We'll be speaking to people here about what's so great about this city.
Pressure pulls away. We're going to see colder winds arrive from the north with a mix of sunny spells and showers. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast. Loads of you getting in touch this morning. Thank you for keeping us company. Actually, most of them are on the resident doctor strikes, aren't they?
Thank you. I don't know where my copy's gone.
I realised that.
Sarah says medical training is in demand at universities. As part of the criteria, they should be asked to voluntarily sign away their right to strike and see if the uptake changes.
We were having a debate earlier, weren't we, about whether doctors should be banned from striking. One of our guests saying, well, it's a basic human right to be able to withdraw your labour.
But not when lives are at risk.
Paul says, well, morning, Ellie and Stephen, if it is a basic human right to strike, then why can't police officers do it? Again,
and
because...
soldiers.
And soldiers, Charlie Peters, yes, you're correct.
Yeah, it's interesting. And Alistair says, and we've heard this lots of times, doctors have to swear an oath to do no harm. Surely going on strike will harm innocent people. Well, that is about like. Keep your thoughts coming through on that one and your views about politics this morning, because there's a lot of fallout. There's the Welsh by-election yesterday for the Senedd, but of course it's having ripples right through Westminster. Plaid Cymru winning with a significant majority. Reform coming second, 4,000 behind, Labour Party wiped out. So let's talk to the Cabinet Office Minister, Nick Thomas-Symonds, who joins us now. I mean, this is a grim day for the Labour Party, isn't it? A stronghold, a seat you'd held for a very long time in that part of Wales, and yet you've been your vote absolutely decimated.
Look, Stephen, I will of course address the result of a discussion with that in a moment, but just forgive me for saying a word or two about Hefin David's family, who, as you can imagine, I knew Hefin very well, and I'm thinking about his family both today and in recent days, and nobody across politics would have wanted a by-election in the circumstances that we've seen. And a word too for the Welsh Labour candidate Richard Tunnicliffe, who, as you can imagine, had a very difficult time for Welsh Labour, ran a very positive and indeed dignified campaign. But yes, to address your point, of course this is disappointing. I'm not hiding from that at all. I've been out in Caerphilly. My own constituency of Torfaen that I'm speaking to you from is close to Caerphilly. So I've been out knocking doors. And the sense I was getting from people on doorstep after doorstep was that they were frustrated with the pace of change. They want to see more change in their everyday lives. That was coming through really strongly. And we treat this result with humility. We've listened on the doorstep. We've had thousands of conversations. And that redoubling down on delivery, driving delivery, so that people can feel it in their everyday lives is exactly what we'll go on to do before not just the Senedd election next year, but the local elections in Wales in 2027 as well.
Where do you think you've gone wrong? I mean, it's been described today as the day that Labour lost Wales, and looking ahead to next year and the elections taking place in Wales, I mean, Labour's dominance across the whole of the country is now under threat.
Look, I certainly think it's going to be a tough fight in May, but who governs Wales is going to be a decision, of course, as it should be, for the Welsh people next May. But look, let me give you an example of my point about delivery. We've actually made the largest investment, the largest financial settlement in the history of devolution with the Welsh Government. And it's meant that public services starved of cash under the Conservatives, like the NHS, are now receiving that money. And here in Wales, waiting lists are starting to come down. But we want to see that money getting to the front line, making a difference more quickly. And it's that driving of delivery, showing that it is Labour governments on either end of the M4 that's going to make that difference to the people of Wales is the case we'll take to the Welsh public over the next 6 months.
You see, it's interesting because you talk about issues local to Wales, and you know, of course, I mean, it's a Welsh election, and of course that's going to be relevant to an extent. Now, I've not been out on the streets of Caerphilly, but I know people who have been, and what has come back seems to be a lot of people saying they're dissatisfied with Westminster. They're dissatisfied, particularly with Keir Starmer. Now, if you're listening to what people are saying on the doorstep, maybe you need to instigate some change.
Well, what I was getting on the doorstep were people talking about the pressures in their everyday lives. They were talking about the cost of living and living standards and struggling to make ends meet. They were telling me about what they wanted to see in terms of public services that they want to rely on. That's the strong message that was coming through to me. And as I say, we have started that job of delivery. Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, the UK Labour government has started that, whether it is extending the freeze on fuel duty, we've increased the national living wage, national minimum wage, investment in Welsh Rail, and here in the South Wales Valleys, really important investment in coal tip safety, which, as I know, I'm sure you'll understand, Stephen, has real particular resonance and importance here in South Wales. But the message I was getting was very, very clear. We've got to redouble those efforts. People need to feel that change in their everyday lives. And that's exactly what we're focused on doing.
Just before we let you go this morning, Nick, can I just ask you about the grooming gangs inquiry and the chaos surrounding it? I mean, the fifth survivor has now quit the panel, and she's talking about being overwhelmed by the political storm around this process, saying that there's been no support. I mean, what does it say about the process that you have set up when you've got 5 survivors walking away from it, feeling ostracised by that process? And as a second point to that question, do you think Jess Phillips' position is now tenable as safeguarding minister when you've got a number of these victims saying they won't come back unless she goes?
Well, look, first of all, victims have to be at the heart of this. This is one of the worst scandals in the history of our country. Young women and girls being completely exploited, terrible crimes committed against them, and the agencies and indeed institutions that were meant to protect them either looked the other way or did nothing to help them. So we've absolutely got to leave no stone unturned in terms of getting to the bottom of this. And to the points that you're raising on Jess Phillips, I absolutely have confidence in Jess Phillips to do this. Jess Phillips, not just in what she's done standing up for and against violence against women and girls at Westminster, but also what she did working in domestic abuse and supporting women and girls before she came into politics. But in terms of the victim liaison group that you're quite properly asking me about, look, of course we listen to everything that's being said. I've seen what those victims have said. There are other victims saying that they will only stay if Jess Phillips continues. And I think that points to the task we have on our hands in respect of the chair, because we need to find a chair that commands the confidence of victims. If you look at the Alexis J inquiry into child sexual exploitation between 2015 and 2022, Alexis J was actually the 4th choice chair. They went through 3 others. We want to get the chair right because it's vital. We not only get the chair right, get to the bottom of all these things and seek justice for victims, but that we also have alongside it those 1,200 cold cases that the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary at the start of the year have insisted now we go back to individual accountability for the terrible things people did, but getting to the truth in the inquiry as well.
OK. Minister, look, we appreciate your time. As always, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, on that very issue, our national reporter Charlie Peters is here. And I do think with someone like Nick Thomas Symonds, you know, he will believe what he says there. I'm sure he has absolute sincerity in saying, you know, victims should be at the centre of this. We owe them this. It's got to be sorted out. It's a disgrace. He will believe that. And, you know, he's a decent man, whether you agree with his politics or not. The problem is, it's one thing to say it. It's clearly proving to be something very, very different to implement it.
There are thousands of women around the country affected by this scandal who do not trust the state. And so if you then invite them onto a process, if you engage with them to talk about this issue, and you then ask them, do you want the grooming inquiry to expand? that is going to knock that trust very hard. So that's why we've had those women quit. There are others who've remained on the panel. One called, she's not given her name, but Amy Clowry, her lawyer, has told us that she's remaining on the inquiry but still wants Jess Phillips to resign because of that lack of trust, because of the issues about transparency, and because they were asked to expand the inquiry. There's now this letter in The Guardian yesterday, which was sent from 5 members of the panel. They're described, all 5, as grooming gang victims, but The Guardian concedes itself. It describes one of them as not a grooming gang victim. It's a very curious place we're in now, where some people on the panel are outwardly saying, I'm on this panel, but I'm not a grooming gang victim, and I want the
inquiry... Even though it's a victims panel.
Precisely. It's a grooming gang victims panel, and it's for the Independent Commission on Grooming Gangs for a grooming gangs national inquiry. So you can see why so many people are nervous about this process if there are people on the panel and in government, perhaps, who are looking to expand the scope. Now, Jess Phillips, Shabana Mahmood and Keir Starmer have all denied that they're going to expand the scope, that it's going to be watered down, but there is clearly a campaign to do that. We also know that the charity organising it, NWG, they did ask these women, do you want the scope expanded or should it be explicitly on grooming gangs? This is a mess for the government. They needed to get these people on board, to get their trust, to show they're going to look at this in a laser-focused way. And I think the 2 chairs who've removed themselves, they're talking about a toxic political environment. Jim Gamble is especially saying that. Yeah. Now, he was suggesting that was caused in Parliament, but actually I think a lot of the anger is justifiably coming from those women who've waited decades for this moment, decades to finally get the investigation they want, only to be asked, should it be expanded? There are questions there for ministers, really, about why they did not get control in this process, and while they've said the process has been independent in terms of who's on the panel and what they're being asked, perhaps there should have been much stronger direction and command given to that charity to say, we need grooming gang victims because this is a grooming gangs inquiry. If we expand it into wider CSE, then we're going to get what one victim who's not quit, who's still on the panel and speaking anonymously, said, mini ICSA, another wide-ranging inquiry that doesn't get to the truth.
No, it won't get anywhere, will it, if it doesn't look at this one particular issue?
No, that's what they were promised. All right, Charlie, thank you very much.
Now, have you ever been to Hull? It's a fantastic place. It's not got a very good reputation. It's a beautiful little spot, actually, and it's top tourist destination for next year. You can find out why next.
That's it. The National Geographic has named it as one of the best places in the world to visit next year. We'll be speaking to a local artist about what's so great about this city. Join us after the break.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, time is ticking on for your chance to win the biggest prize of the year in our Great British Giveaway. Did you know it's worth £104,000?
I did.
So it's 30 grand in cash and then 74,000 on a motorhome. Here are all of the details that you need.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Someone is guaranteed to win our biggest prize to date, so make sure that winner could be you. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right. Have you ever been to Hull?
No, but I've heard great things.
It's a lovely thing, a lovely place. And did you know that things like the phone boxes and the post boxes are white?
I didn't know that.
That's because they were owned by... It's all separate from the Royal Mail and the GPO as it was and all that sort of thing. It's all different.
Oh.
It's brilliant. It's a really lovely little spot, and it's just won a whole load of prestigious prizes. Anna Riley is there because she loves it in Hull, don't you?
I do. I love Hull. It's not my hometown, but I've lived here for many years. Love the place, love the people as well. And yes, the National Geographic has named Hull as one of the top places in the world, on the top 25 places in the world to visit next year. And a big part of that is the 800-year maritime heritage of Hull. It goes way back, centuries back, to whaling and the fishing industry here, and that's been celebrated next year. The building behind us just here is the Maritime Museum. That's been completely refurbished. Also, some of the ships as well that people can go visit here at the marina, the Spurn Lighthouse and the Arctic Corsair. That's all coming into fruition next year. So that's why this award has been given. And Hull's up against the likes of Quebec in Canada as one of the top places to visit next year, as well as Beijing in China. So a huge accolade. And I'm delighted now to be joined by Mark Rogers. Mark, you're a local artist here in Hull. You've got a fantastic book here full of all the paintings that you've done. What is it about Hull that you love and that has inspired these fantastic
when I
pictures?
first moved to Hull in 2008, I was just struck by the grandeur of this magnificent building, and it evoked the Baroque, and it just makes me think of Florence or Italy. And then by coincidence, whilst I was just moved here, Michael Portillo was doing his Great Railways journeys, and he said this is like the Venice of the North. And then when you look around and see all these little towers and beautiful buildings, I thought, yeah, this is like stepping back into time. It's like it's been preserved well, you know, the clean, as you say. And we have the Ferrans Art Gallery there and the Maritime Museum. And I went in there once to see what was in there, and it shows you how amazing, how resourceful we were, using every aspect of the whale. Even an umbrella had whale bones in as those little spindles. But obviously now hunting whales is illegal, and they are beautiful creatures, aren't they, that deserve to live for, you know, about 100 years, some of them live. And then, yeah, I decided to paint this building as my very first painting when I moved to Hull. And the people didn't quite know what to make of me. They thought I might just be like a beggar or a busker. And the local coffee bar, Nero's, came out with a bagel and a cup of coffee for me. So I thought, this is nice. So I thought, I feel the warmth of this particular square. And then the next painting I did was the corner of Nero's and the Maritime Museum.
And Hull's really transformed its image, hasn't it? In the early 2000s, it was named as one of the worst towns to live. It was labelled for crime, antisocial behaviour. Then 2017, it was given the City of Culture and just completely transformed.
This is it. People began to take some pride in where they're from. When you look at their history, as you say, the fishing, that took a bit of a knock in the 70s. But apparently, prior to that, when it was awarded its Royal Charter, I think, as you say, 800 years ago. It was some monks from an abbey called Meuse Abbey, or Meuse, however the French pronounce it, and they wanted to export cotton. So they tried to get a petition to build a port here for their commercial ventures, and that's how the birth of the city began.
Sorry, just step in a sec. Thank you there, Mark. No worries. So, yeah, definitely get yourselves to Hull and visit this beautiful city. It's gorgeous. Lots to see here.
Gorgeous day you've got there, Anna, as well. I need to come up and make a trip.
Oh, it's
Maybe we
worth
should do
it.
breakfast from Hull.
It'd be great. It's a lovely spot. They've got some fantastic little coffee shops in the old town.
That's exactly what I like the sound of. I'm always trying to get us out and about, and no one's ever up for it.
No, well, I'm up for it.
Right.
It's just
We'll
getting
do it then.
it's the crew who won't do it because they're lazy.
Tell you, two people who might be, though, on this road trip is Britain's newsroom team today, Alex Armstrong and Olivia Utley.
Oh, we should do a trip to Hull.
We should all go to Hull.
Britain's newsroom in Hull.
Hull.
But look, we've got a big show because we've had a by-election, a big by-election last night.
Absolutely. This is my bread and butter, love a by-election, and it is a really significant by-election. Support for Labour and the Conservatives together has gone down to just 13%.
Yep.
Is this the end of the two-party system?
And the grooming gangs, inquiry, chaos, all of that after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Some bright spells around today, but also plenty of blustery showers and even some longer spells of rain, all accompanied by a cold wind coming from the north. And that wind particularly strong towards the northeast of the UK as low pressure pulls away, but continues to extend a band of wet weather into eastern Scotland and the northeast of England. And we'll see coastal gales around exposed northeastern parts, but elsewhere it's just a blustery day with further showers, some heavy downpours for the southwest in particular, even the odd rumble of thunder. Away from the showers, some sunshine. However, it is going to feel cold in the wind with temperatures a few degrees down compared with average for the time of year. Now, the rain across northeast Scotland pushes into southern parts during the evening and northern England later on, with further showers following for the north and northwest of Scotland. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of showers, but also some bright spells in between. 11 degrees at 6 p.m. And for much of England and Wales, we keep the showers going well into the evening, but there will be some clear spells, particularly through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. Here's that band of rain sinking south into the Midlands during the evening and then East Anglia by midnight, but eventually it pulls away into the North Sea, and that means that for many of us, we'll see clear spells overnight. Enough of a breeze to prevent a widespread frost, but it will be a chilly start in places on Saturday with temperatures dipping to the mid-single figures, even some places seeing the low single figures.
So, yeah, pretty fresh out there first thing this weekend, but plenty of bright weather. It will still feel cold in the wind coming from the north, and that wind will bring some wintry showers to northern Scotland, snow falling over the hills of northern Scotland, but no disruption likely from that. Rain showers elsewhere, but plenty of sunny spells in between the downpours, particularly in central eastern parts, continuing though to feel very cold.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers in Glasgow should exercise caution as fog is impacting driving conditions. In Essex, on the A12 southbound between junctions 22 and 21, there's a load spillage with one lane closed, causing 30-minute delays. Normal conditions are expected between 10:45 and 11 this morning. In Shropshire, the A49 northbound has a load spillage between the A456 and A4117, leading to lane closures until noon. And on the trains, Cross Country and Great Western Railway report significant disruptions between Tiverton Parkway and Bristol Temple Meads. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Prince William has launched this new national suicide prevention campaign around the country, £1 million of funding, helping organisations in each country within the United Kingdom.